Good evening everyone and welcome to round number 9 of the Performance Link GT3 Cup here at the Nurburgring Grand Prix track layout for the second of our endurance specials here tonight on Iracing. It's going to be an entertaining and a very tactical race, I think, overall. But I am Andy Thompson. I'm joined as always beside me with Tom Bingham. And I'm doing the wonderful production as well. But Tom, it's going to be an interesting race. First broadcast back for a while, missed the last two, but good to have on board again.
Yeah, I appreciate that, mate. Yeah, sorry, it's been a bit of a crazy one with work and things. So, you know, my boss rings, I got to go. That's just unfortunately the way it is. But yeah, really looking forward to this one. You know, Nord's GP layout. I think everybody knows it. You know, everybody out there that does iRacing or pretty much most other racing games does know this track. It's got a good mixture of places that you can attack. It's got a good mixture of, you know, tight and twisties, also with long straights, and it's going to be interesting to see what the guys do. But obviously, now we're over that 2-hour endurance, it's going to make it more difficult or more tricky for the drivers to sort of strategize. You know, they've got to get a pit stop in. They've got to really focus on what they're going to do with things like tire wear. You know, that adds a different strategy altogether.
Yeah, it certainly does, and obviously having that 2 hours compared to the normal hour and 10-minute sessions that we normally have here in the Performance League GT3 Cup Season 2. We got 3 endurance rounds. This is the second of 3. The last one is in Bathurst, which is the last round of the season. But more about today, let's have a look around the track from our resident guru, who unfortunately is not here today, is Thomas Cope on Olympus Sport. Let's give you a bird's eye view, a driver's eye view of around here, the Nurburgring. So here we have the Nurburgring GP track layout, one that's we're all very much used to. But this is a start-finish straight here. Probably the prime opportunity to make that passing move, given that slipstream effect that we hopefully should be able to see. Coming down here into Yokohama, turn number 1. A very tricky corner. In normal circumstances, going right out to the right, but a really good opportunity to just dive up the inside before coming through onto the AMG Arena through turn number 2. Very tricky corner. You really got to hold the throttle input coming around the corner, coming into turn number 3. This really is a prime opportunity for a car to be spinning, so we might see a few of them before exiting the arena out of turn number 4. Another tricky one, really easy to get the off tracks here. Sprinting down into a short little straight down to turn number 6. Again, another tricky one, holding that third gear before coming down to turn number 7, the Ford corner. Really holding the power in and then using all of the track available before coming down to turn number 8, the Goodyear curve. Just a hairpin over to the left-hand car, hook the car on the inside, try and get as close to that apex to then power out of the corners up through turns number 9 and 10, the Schumacher S's. Really quick in these cars, near enough flat out. Earlier on it may be that they're holding off, and obviously as the tyre wear go on before heading up the hill to turn number 11, the Ravno curve here. Another tricky corner, and this is the one you probably really want to get right, the Blitzen curve, turn number 12, to really catapult you out onto the back straight. You've got turn 13 coming up now. The Advent Bogan is a flat out corner, so might as well be a straight for all concerned. Before coming up to turn number 14 and 15, the Vidal chicane, the GP track layout, so it's a lot slower than the sweeping chicane that we normally used to, so that will really test the drivers before coming through the Hyundai North curve here at turn number 16 before a lap there is completed. Lap times are going to be round about a 1:58 to 1:59 going normal routines, but it's going to be interesting to see. The drivers at the moment are currently in practice. Let's have a look to see how they're all doing. Neo Exarton and Thomas Wangen are certainly the two at the top of the standards at the moment, and are the front two on the grid for the Pro Grid. The Pro Grid is a little bit depleted again here today, so only 5 pro drivers out on track, but don't let that dishearten you. We have lots of Pro-Am drivers, which is a hotly contested class. Then we got the AMs as well, which is hotly contested, and the rookies with Alan Sandergaard really making a late charge into the back end of the season, so it's going to be interesting to see what each one of the classes do here tonight. And we've seen how much and how vital these endurance races are, because we saw James Logsdon up until that first endurance race really commanding that Pro-Am field, had a terrible endurance, and ever since then he's been trying to play catchback with Lee King McGee. Now if you remember back to our last one, which was at Road America, Lee King McGee was leading the race and then got into a little bit of an altercation with a Formula F1 driver that really put pace to him, but still managed to keep it on track, score some decent points where James scored very low. So these endurance rounds are super critical in the point standings, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing with the endurance rounds, isn't it? You know, if you show up, if you can make them, if you can put yourself on the grid, you're gonna get big points. You know, it's not about the sprint races, for example, like we have in the Clio Cup, or even our usual sort of 70-minute events we have in GT3. You're looking now to be consistent, be calm, take it easy. You know, not go all the way flat out in the first couple of laps, because at the end of the day it's not going to win you the race by doing that in these endurance rounds. So you know, it's fantastic to see the drivers that have come out today, and they're all looking to score big points.
Yeah, they certainly are. But let's look and recap everybody on the current point situation as of at the moment. So at the top of the pro standings, we have a joint first place between Thomas Wangen and Neo-Erik Eisen. Neo-Erik Eisen had an excellent race out last time at the Hockenheim Ring, really capitalised it and had a clean race as well, so got the 2 bonus points, so managed to claw back that 3-point deficit going into Hockenheim. Overall, with Thomas Wangen getting second place overall there. So those two are at the top of the standings at the moment. Daniel Sedgley, who's unfortunately not been able to join us tonight, there in third place, with Scott Mokes in fourth on 73. Ketiel Larson in fifth place at the moment. He is here tonight, so has a very good chance of leapfrogging Daniel Sedgley and Scott Mokes here to get into third place overall. Michael Hooper, 61 points, is not here tonight as well. Lars Sorensen and Arias Romantis are both here, and they are at the tail end of that pro field, but have a really good opportunity to leapfrog Daniel Sedgley, Scott Mokes and Michael Hooper after this round from scoring big, if they can score big, which they will do because there's only 5 cars in there, so they'll be scoring some really decent points overall. Looking further back then at the Pro-Am field, we currently have Lee King McGee leading away by 15 points over the chasing James Logsdon. Again, Hockenheim Ring was a bit of a story of two halves. Lee King McGee got really fortunate with Mats Genstrom back and having a little bit of an issue, managed to win that race. James Logsdon spun it earlier on in that race, but managed to get back up. If it wasn't for a pesky pit stop strategy that he had, doing 22 seconds where everyone else around him done 13, he would have been in the top 3, so would have been a really good recovery drive. But this is a real good opportunity for James Logsdon to make some valuable points. Christopher Otto in third, Casper Tosten in fourth, Kim Andre Borkland in fifth, Sander Ireland in sixth, Alexander Scret in seventh, Michael Goff in eighth, and John O'Cook and Russ Fowler round out the top 10 in the Pro-Am field. In the Am field, look across to that, and it's a bit of a different story here. Tom Savage really commanding lead there over Stefan Andersson in second place. Simeon Modenclef in third, 1 point behind on 78. Shampan Asfal on 66 points, so trying to charge up and trying to catch on to the tailskins of Simeon Modenclef, who struggled in the recent rounds, so it's a good opportunity for him. Gordon Hagen 5th, Patrick Wild in 6th, Sammy Hendricks in 7th, Jimmy Vark in 8th, Steve Pearce in 9th, and Stefan Albanese rounds out your top 10. Looking over to the rookies then, we have Sam Curran currently leading the way on 93 points, 4 points behind Paul Joseph Clist on 89, 2 points behind him Nicholas Gronstrom in third place. Alan Sandergaard, who had an excellent round at the Hockenheim Ring, really on a charge now, as I was saying. Currently they're in 4.7 points behind Matt Genschenbacken, and obviously 9 points behind Paul Joseph Cliss. Really good opportunity for him to get some valuable points here. Torben Millet there in 5th place on 70 points, and Ian Hennebury, who was probably your choice earlier on, Tom, obviously not been out for a few rounds, unfortunately. That's really put pay to his championship. Looking across then to the teams, currently leading the way is the IGL Colton E-Racing by Sunday Traffic Skull on 248 with Team Bear Pope on 220. Bear Pope 0, the sister team, on 214 with 1 point behind is Dane Racing on 213. 12 points behind, Sim Racing Norway are Season 1 champions, team champions in 5th, AKM Racing in 6th, Olympus Esports are in 7th with Team Cotable Racing in 8th. IGL Coatings Iracing by Kenzo there in 9th, and Performance Link Esports rounding out the top 10. So that is the point standings as is, but like I said, it can all change in these endurance rounds. These endurance rounds are so critical when it comes to maximizing and giving you the real big boost to. But yeah, funny. But if we look at the championship there, Tom, you know, James Logson really needs to win this one in that Pro-Am field, and almost have Lee have a little bit of an issue to try and close back the gap there overall in that Pro-Am field. Tom Savage at the moment, such a commanding lead in that Am. He's been the class above the rest of the field in that Am field, but it's super close from second all the way down to around about 5th or 6th, so anyone's opportunity. And then we got the rookies as well, which is super close. And Alan Sandergaard is my dark horse certainly in that rookie field. But over to the pros, I mean, Neil Eriksen and Thomas Wangen seem to be having a little bit of a battle. It's all even, all square, and it's going to be come down to what I think is going to be these endurance rounds to see who can top the field in the pro standings. But yeah, so here we go across to the race then. Let's have a look at this. Let's see if I can get the grid up for you guys. So in first place on pole position is Thomas Wangen in the pros, Neil Erik Eisen in second with Lance Sorensen in third. Ketil Larsen in fourth with Arius Romantis in fifth. Heading over to the Pro-Am, Mats Genstrom back in is the pole sitter there with Michael Goff in second, Christopher Otter Holt in third, Lee King McKee in fourth, James Logston in fifth with Sander Island in sixth. Going further down the green, 7th, Casper Tuttle, David Carpenter in 8th, John Cook in 9th, Russ Fowler in 10th, Kim Andre Portland in 11th with Ryan O'Connor, new driver, in P12. Tom Savage leads out the way in the Ams with Simeon Moldeclef in 2nd place. Alte Rudder in 3rd with Sammy Hendricks in 4th. In 5th we got Gordon Haig with Mad Sayer, Shamapa Asvan in 7th, Stefan Anderson in 8th with Jimmy Vark in 9th. Heading out the rookie field is Sam Curran with Alan Sandergaard in 2nd, Torbjörn Melee in 3rd. It's probably his best starting position of the season with Paul Joseph Klist in 4th. And Nicholas Gronstrom rounds out the field here in the rookies in 5th place. So it's going to be an interesting race here overall, I think, Tom, and it's probably anyone's call.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens in this one. You know, we've increased the gap today to 3 seconds amongst the classes in order for them to have a bit of safety coming into that first set of the Yokohama S's. So it's going to be interesting to see what the two top pros that are side by side in the IGL Coatings team, are they going to battle each other on the same points? I mean, prizes are out there. Are they going to fight, and that's going to open the door to some of the other pros? Also, you know, we've got James Logston. Is he going to be able to put pay to Lee King McGee in this round? And we're about to find out.
We certainly are, as the race is just about to get underway. And there goes Thomas Wangen there in this rather shortened field of 5 cars, pretty much for IGL, with Arius Romantis of SEMA Sport as they sprint down here into the first corner, all pretty much as it was. And they all managed to get round nicely and neatly. Looking further back then to the Pro-Am field, Matt Gentry back in gets a good start over the rest of the field. Michael Goff in 2nd place and Christopher Arteholt still maintaining that 3rd place, just trying to get the inside. And there is a late dive there from Michael Goff, and that is what we're on about earlier on when we were doing a track map of the opportunity. But Matt Gendra's back and has the inside line for the tricky turn number 2. Let's look back at the Anfield. So Tom Savage there, our pole sitter, managing to keep that position overall. Simeon Moldeclef in 2nd place with Sammy Hendricks in 3rd. So all the field relatively getting around the 1st place, but as I sort of say that, it looks like there has been an incident further back in the rookie field. Not sure what has happened there. Let's have a look at a replay. It's Mad Sayer here. Let's have a look. Coming down, this is the treacherous first corner here. Let's have a look and see what happens to Mads in the rookie field. So this is very much the rookies. Oh, sorry, this is the AMs coming down into that first corner. Doesn't quite looks like an issue there. Or is it turn number 2? Is there an issue? No, I think the timing software is having a bit of a glitch and completely lied to me. But Matt's Gentrim back in there, getting through the arena section relatively unscathed.
Yeah, the timing software does like to do that from time to time. You know, it might be a slight wheel on the grass, something along those lines, and it does give you a heads up to let you know that nothing's happened. But you know, we'll take that and we'll carry on.
Definitely is. Sam Currans currently leads the way in the rookie field. Alan Sandgaard in second. Nicholas Gronstrom has managed to jump 2 places in that rookie field. Is now currently up to P3 overall in the championship. But I'm looking here. There is something that's happened to Casper. Casper's having a spin here out on track. Gets back on there. We'll have a look at see what happened to him. But that will put Casper down. You can see him there. He's now embroiled. In fact, it is the chicane, that very tight chicane coming in on the back straight. Let's see if I can find out what happened to Casper. He went off track. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. See if this is the incident here. So coming up. Let's have a look where this is. This is coming. I think this is coming up to the Ravno curve number 11. Oh, gets slightly tagged. No, that is into the hairpin. You can see the carnage then that obviously backs up behind. It's one of the IGL coatings guys, which I think that might have been Matt Gentrim back in, because he's had a big issue, because he is currently now in P8 in class, P13th overall, down 7 places from where he started. Let's see if I can find out where it is. What happened to Matt Gentrim back and to be further down the field, currently leading the way. Let's have a look here. Literally going slow. Did he get a slowdown? It must have been a slowdown. Or has he had another issue? Because he's going really slow. And no, there's got to be a hardware issue there, because there's no real slowdowns before then, really. So it was all in that corner that he lost his position. So hopefully he looks like he's up to speed at the moment. But that's not ideal for Matt Gentrim, who was our post hitter in that Pro-Am field.
Yeah, unfortunately, you know, hardware issues are one of those things that, you know, they pay to give us all sorts of issues as we've gone along. I've experienced it while racing with yourself, Andy, in other championships where my PC died all of a sudden the first time ever, and it was the race I needed to win the championship, and unfortunately, we didn't get the Le Mans finish we were after. But you know, he's up and running now, and Matt Gentrim back in for IGL Coatings is looking to do a decent run.
Definitely is. We look back at the front of the Pro-Am field. Michael Goff started second in this race, is currently leading the way from Kristen Otterholt in second place, and James Logston in third, with Lee King McGee following him in fourth. So in the right position at the moment in front of Lee King McGee, but certainly needs to try and get some more positions between himself and Lee King McGee to try and close down that 15-point gap at the top of the Pro-Am standings. So it's going to be interesting to see. Like we said, it's a 2-hour race, currently nearly 5 minutes into this race. Is it going to be 1 or is it going to be 2 pit stops? What's your prediction there, Tom?
I think a few of the guys are going to try and eke it out, but you know, looking at the duration of the actual race and how hard people are going to be pushing in these endurance rounds, I imagine it's going to be 2 pit stops. The tyres are going to be the other thing. I mean, they're definitely going to look at taking tyres at some point, because with the current setup on iRacing, you can get a free set of tyres depending on how much time you actually run on the track. You know, it's the fuel's going in, and it gives the guys time to change them over without impeding on your actual your pit stop time. So that's it's going to be an interesting strategy, but you know, we'll see what happens. I'd like to see somebody try and stretch it to 1, but if they do, they're obviously going to slow themselves down a lot more than they really need to.
Yeah, because the pit stops are normally around about 13 seconds to get a decent amount of fuel in, and maybe a little bit more, but it's certainly going to be interesting. But at the top of the standings, Thomas Wangen is currently leading the way. You can see him down in the bottom right of your screen in his rather expensive looking setup there. It's super cool to see the driver's eye view of what he's looking at out on screen at the moment. But these two are really having a jostle and a joust really for the whole of the season. It's been pretty much topsy-turvy, and each one taking alternate rounds almost. So it's going to be interesting to see if Thomas Wangen can make up for obviously what he himself thought was a poor performance at Hockenheim, even though it was a second place, to really cement it. And if he gets that first place, it'll extend that slight little gap again to Niels Erik Isaacson, his teammate in second place. But it's not going to be a mountain of points difference if it stays like it currently is on track. So it's really going to be a jostle between these two for the rest of the season to who's going to win this season 2 pro standings overall. But at the moment, they're starting to pull away slightly from their teammate in third place. Lance Sorensen, 2.5 seconds is the gap overall between the two. But you can look at their timing tower. I think we got the classes spot on there, Tom, because it's pretty much pros, pro-ams, apart from Tom Savage and then the AMs. So I think we've done something right, I think.
Yeah, it's taken 6 rounds to get there, but no. In all fairness, it's been fairly stable as far as the ability of drivers go from the first sort of couple of rounds. That's one thing we try and look to do. We don't want to throw people in at the deep end. We look at a massive amount of factors in order to take into account what classes they should be in. But jumping on board with Tom Savage right now, having a fantastic round for the Team Bareboat, and getting himself a couple of spots in front of his closest rival, Sammy Hendricks.
Yeah, I mean, he's certainly been the class act in that field, but puts in a lot of practice. And if you put the practice in, it really pays off. And Tom Savage at the moment leading out the way in the field. But in second place, we got Sammy Hendricks, the privateer there in second place. So he's doing exceptionally well at the moment. Obviously sporting a brand new livery there, calling himself Jimmy. I think that may be delusions of grandeur there, but you never know. Who knows? But we got Shamabon Azamon there in third place. He's been a hit and miss again throughout the season. He has some really good rounds, and then he sort of throws it away. But I suppose that's the thing of them being in the AM field, is that they're not with the pro-am standards, or not at the pro standards. So it's all about trying to minimize the mistakes out on track and score them constant points there. But he's doing a great job for Dane Racing, who have shot up the team standing orders as well. So they're in for a real shot of a top 3 finish overall. But that's Shamabon Asavon there. I don't know who's taking your fancy really in this rookie field apart from Tom Savage.
I mean, Tom Savage obviously is the one that you want to win, because, as you said, he's putting in so much practice, and it's something that we see week after week after week. He's going away and putting in the laps, the same as the front runners in the pros, for example. If you put the practice in, it really does work out for you. So I'd like to see some slightly better results from Jimmy Vark. He's been a decent driver throughout the season, not had the best of luck, but the Team Barefoot driver's been doing awfully well in the BMW, but still a few leaps and bounds to go. I mean, as you were saying, with the difference between obviously the ability from Pro-Am to Pro, the leap from rookie to AM is quite large, but then the leap from AM to Pro-Am, I believe, is even larger, just because you're getting to the stage now where you're racing against people that are so refined that they don't miss the braking markers. They don't make silly mistakes. It does take a lot of pressure and a lot of aggression on them in order for them to make a mistake and for you to gain places. But Tom Savage just doing his thing, isn't he? He's the driver to watch at the moment in that class.
Certainly is, and Jimmy's moved from the Audi for the rest of the season into the BMW, so probably just getting to grips with the car for this round. But it's probably not the ideal one to try and get to grips with, being that it is the Endurance Series. But even the classes themselves, I think they've been super competitive throughout. The Pro-Am field, we've been watching it intensely over the last 8 rounds. It's been all super close. You can see in the timing tower there from 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, all covered by around about a second and a half. Then there's a little bit of a gap back to Dan Carpenter with Sander Island behind him. But again, with the AMs, a little bit more spread out today than it normally is, but still not a million miles apart from each other. And then looking further back at the Sam Curran there, who's just behind Jimmy Varg, the leader of the rookie class. He's had a great season as well, a newcomer to the Performance Link League racing, and has really taken it by storm. But the one that's really impressed me, I think, overall is Alan Sandergaard. He finds himself P2 in this race. He has got real good opportunity to get more vital points to close down that gap, and he's my dark horse in that rookie class if he maintains his form to be able to leapfrog up and get into a better standing within that championship. So he's done exceptionally well. Had a poor start to the season, but has really started to come on strong now into the back half of the season. Nicholas Gronstrom, we look down there in third place. He was our early leader in the rookie field, and then had a little bit of an issue in the last endurance. The endurance rounds are really mixed up the standings. Overall, you know, it's a different mindset, isn't it, when you come to a 2-hour race? I mean, it's only 50 minutes more than the hour and 10 races, but you know, 50 minutes is a long time in iRacing to be sat behind the rig to concentrate fully. So, you know, you've got to change your mindset when you come into these races, and think about the longevity. Think about, I need to be scoring decent points. I don't need to be pushing it into the first corner on the first lap, because if I have a spin, then that puts me out. So it's all about just biding your time and then get growing into the race as well. We're only currently just coming up to nearly 13 minutes into this first race here, and we're currently watching Nicholas Gronstrom as he goes around turn number 1. But that's a tricky corner, turn number 1 around this track, isn't it, Tom?
Yeah, everybody knows that that it's not a very nice corner. It's not overly friendly. If you are going to try and make an attacking move, it can really sort of do you over. That inside line, it does drop away considerably, and you can find yourself rotating the car too hard. And if you try and get on the power too early, you know, without getting that compression in, you don't end up getting on the power as much as you want to, and unfortunately rotating the back of the car. So it's you know, it is a tricky corner. There's lots of tricky corners on this track. So, you know, I think the guys are just lucky that we're not doing the full green hell today, as that would be a testament for a 2-hour endurance for these guys. But just looking across the field, you know, so many BMWs out today. I mean, it's the car that we've talked about before. It's the you know, it's the doer of all but the master of none, but it's doing awfully well for a lot of the guys. So, you know, we've only got 2 Porsches there, a couple of McLarens, some Mercedes. It's a bit of a sprinkling, but yeah, most of the drivers switching up to the BM going on to the second half of the season.
Yeah, it certainly seems to be the car of choice, but still have a splattering of other cars. Got a couple of Porsche. James Logston flying the flag for the Porsche in that Pro-Am field, and you can see him there now. He's actually at the top of the standings, so has managed to get his way to the front of that Pro-Am field. Lee King McGee still isn't able to make a move, as you see him there down the inside into turn 1. Can he get that move done past Christopher Otterholt for that 4th place overall in track? Let's have a look on board. Yes, he did. No, he's just behind him, so
close.
Sandwiched in between his teammate there is Christian Otterholt, but these 3 are joined at the hip coming out of the stadium section.
I mean, what do you do here as far as the AKM Racing team? Do you look to back up Otterholt, or do you look to just sort of go for it and try and catch up to the front of the pack? I mean, it's a considerable gap right to the front of that class, but team orders, they can come into play. I mean, is he going to try and squeeze him to allow a bit of slipstream? I'm not too sure at this early stage in the race.
Yeah, I mean, it's only relatively early, like you're saying, 15 minutes. Still a mountain of time to climb in this session. So it's, yeah, still very much early days. So everybody's still finding their feet. The tyres have been nice and warmed up now. So we should see sort of like true representations of the lap. Let's move up, because just looking at AKM Racing UK, because our steering is bent because of KH. Christian, who's KH?
There is no KH, is there? I don't believe.
I don't think there is. I'm not sure who KH is there. I think that's Pops in the YouTube channel. So, just looking down at Simeon Motorclev, as we saw there, he's very much in the mix of the rookies. So let's have a look what happened to him for him to be down that low. So coming around up through the Schumacher S's here. Onto the back, he's already behind one of them. In fact, there, just loses it slightly, then gets a slight tap around from, I believe that was Alan Sandergaard in there. So that's why Simeon is further down. I don't know if he's got some damage on that. And there's another one to show you. Mr. Consistent, Paul Joseph Clist. Looks like he's had an incident. So let's have a look at here. Coming down the start-finish straight. This is with Torben Mele there. Coming down into turn number 1. Oh, that was a very weird one.
Really strange.
Did Torben lose his braking marker there, but seemed to hit into the side of Paul Joseph Clist, who's probably trying to go for a 0x, so we'll be a little bit annoyed with that if that is the case, but we'll have a look at that later on, I think. But yeah, Paul Joseph Clist finds himself in P4 in that rookie field.
Yeah, you know, P4, decent position enough. Unfortunate to have a bit of an incident there, but you know, we're jumping right back on board now with Iracing McGee, who is the driver in the Pro-Am field that desperately needs to work his way up the field. Unfortunately, if he does have suspension damage, that's going to make it incredibly hard to you know, to maintain the balance of this car, especially over some of these corners. We've already seen Simeon losing it coming into that corner, and it's just not a nice thing when you're trying to drive along and your you know, steering wheel's potentially at 20, 30, 45 degree angle. It's never nice to be crabbing along the track.
Yeah, I mean, the car looks like it's going along okay. The drivers do have 2 fast repairs, but obviously that means coming into the pit, so not something that really the drivers want to do, because they'll lose it again. So probably just trying to eke it out to the round of pit stops, the first round, get the fast repair done, get the car back into a good shape. So at the moment, not doing too bad. Currently in P4 for overall in that Pro-Am field, P9th out on track, but yeah, still in a good position. He's got a 15-point lead, so can afford to lose a few points, but it's not in the ideal scenario at the moment. James Dodson out in front, and there's 2 cars in between himself and Iracing McGee, who are currently watching in 4th place, so has a little bit of ground to make up. But like I said, we're only 19 minutes into a 2-hour race, so still plenty of time to be going on. But looking further back then at Tom Savage is now in between 8th and 9th in that Pro, in between John O'Cook and Ryan O'Connor. He's just driving this Mercedes like a pro. Everyone else seems to be, like you were saying, jumping ship to the BMW, but he's very much stuck by his guns and his laurels, and it's really worked out for him being in that Mercedes.
Yeah, he is a diehard Mercedes fan, and you know, we've seen him have what we considered the drive of his life at what was the track? I can't think of the name now. It's the really strange name. It's eluding me. Thank you. Yes, Riskiden. Yeah, had the absolute drive of his life there by you know, by coming back and taking the top spot. So the Mercedes is one of those cars. You know, it's got the fantastic power down the straights, but it doesn't quite have the poise of, say, the BMW, and it certainly doesn't have the turning of the McLaren. But what it does have is it's got that big V8, plenty of grunt, lots of ability to track other cars down on these long, straighter sections of this course, and so far it's you know, it's working out well for him.
It certainly is. Leading the way, has 3 cars in between him and the 2nd place driver of Sammy Hendricks, who's doing well himself. You can see him here currently down in P18th. Has a Pro-Am behind him of Kim Andre Borkland here. But might be a good idea just to let Kim pass and then just follow on in the slipstream of the Pro-Am driver to be able to get the try and eke out a bit more of an advantage here. You can see the advantage over Asavon in P3 is around about 2.44 seconds, so it has a little bit of a lead over him, but that got, you can see Cham up on there just coming around turn corner, the BMW Dane car just coming around, so still within sight is Cham wants to try and get that P2, but doing a great job at the moment in P2 in that AM field is Sammy Hendricks. Looking further back at the rookies, currently have Sam Curran from Team Bear Pope sharing the wealth of knowledge in the Mercedes there. So we got Mercedes leading the AM and the Mercedes leading the rookie class. So doing a great job. Currently 5.5 seconds ahead of Alan Sandergaard in second place. So again, that grunt of that Mercedes down these straights is really coming into play. I mean, it's probably a good car for this track because the Mercedes likes to open its legs, and there's plenty of straights down this track to open it up and get that V8 power to its maximum potential. But also the corners around here, a lot of sweeping corners, which the Mercedes is actually not too bad at controlling.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird switch around really, because the BMW used to be the car that had it had all of it really, didn't it? It had the good balance and good poise and all that sort of thing. But if you're looking to get into GT3 racing, I mean the Mercedes is starting to be one of those cars now that it's got everything you need in order to get out on track and be fairly successful, if not very successful, like some of the drivers. So riding on board now with Daniel Carpenter in the Audi. Another car that has come on leaps and bounds, and we did see a lot of switches to this, but now guys reverting back to the thoroughbred BM. I mean, there's a lot of German muscle on this German track today.
Yeah, it certainly is, and this is a nice little battle for P9 overall. This is all following behind Lee King McGee in 9th place. Got Sander Island behind Lee, Dan Carpenter, who are currently watching on track, and Matt Genschenbachen, who was our pole sitter there in P12 overall on track, and he's trying to make up for that. He's currently running around in P7, 6 places back from where he physically started, but we know he's got the pace. But the problem is making that pace in the qualifying session, because it's almost like 2 different sessions here on track. You got the qualifying and then you have the race. I mean, Tom, you're probably the one to talk about that, because you are not the best at qualifying, but then when you get into the race scenario, you are very quick. Just talk us through the differences between the mindset of the qualifying session and then the race session.
Yeah, I mean the thing with qualifying, it takes a lot of precision and a lot of calm to be able to push yourself to the limit without trying desperately to gain extra time when you end up just sort of overdriving the car. I find myself, if I'm in a race environment, like say for example, if I was the car behind Daniel Carpenter right now, I would be working incredibly hard to look at his weaknesses, try and think about where I can make the moves and gain the time. And also, it gives you something to chase. You know, it makes you want to get up there and get on them and put some pressure. Whereas in qualifying, it's just you out there on your own, unless it's open quali. But that's a different sort of variable. But yeah, I've never ever really been good at quali. It's not my strong suit. But I can start. I could start the 24 hours of Nurburgring, or I could start the 24 hours of Le Mans, and I know that I'm going to be quick and have decent pace to stay with the pack. So it takes a rare breed to be good at both.
It certainly does, and obviously at the top of the standings, Thomas Wangen and Neil Iracing are that rare breed, constantly in that top 2 positions are at each and every round that we've currently had. Currently riding on board with Matt Genschenbach, and our pole sitter here in the Pro-Am field, had that slight incident, very strange incident, coming down after the Advent Bogan corner, turn number 13, almost sort of like lost power, and then got it back. So I don't know if it was a slowdown. I mean, is coming through turn number 11. I think that might be the place you can get a slowdown. I'm not 100% sure around this track. It's been so long since I've raced around it. I'm not sure if you can get a slowdown through that. Yeah,
there's a couple of places that you can. I mean, even coming out of the Yokohama races, you can get a slowdown if you cut it wrong on that left-hander there. But yeah, it seemed very strange, didn't it? Even serving a slowdown, you wouldn't imagine him to carry on straight into the middle of the next chicane like that. It's a bit of a weird one there. Normally when we see a hardware failure, they just drive straight off at high speed and ascend to the moon. But it's an interesting one. We'll have to ask him, I suppose, at the end of the race and see what he makes of it. But obviously he's doing a fantastic recovery drive. He is knocked down quite a few positions from where he started, but he's a consistent driver, Matt. It's such a shame that he's been plagued with a few hardware issues recently.
Certainly has, and just trying to look back to see if I can find and we can go on board with him to see what happened. I'll try and keep having a look, and here we go. Let's have a look. So this is him from earlier on in the race. Let's go on board with him and see what happened. So let's go. So we're riding on board with Michael Goff just behind. We got Matt Gensham back in front, and it almost puts on a break. That is definitely a slowdown, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a slowdown. Yeah, 100%. You know, I think he was bleeding it as long as he possibly could. Yeah, he tried to bleed it as long as he could, and unfortunately, just there's no room on that chicane there. You know, you can't go too wide, or if you do, it's incredibly brave to be able to make the move there. And unfortunately, that slowdown has just caught him out at wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, that certainly looks to be the way there. And unfortunately, it comes up to a really tight part of the corner where that incident we saw that affected a few of the drivers as well coming through. Casper getting spun around. So. Yeah, probably not the ideal place to try and do your slow down around that corner, but yeah, it's racing. You know, you've got to try and bleed it off some way, and rather than getting caught out with the drive-through penalty, he chose to do that. But yeah, that puts him down to P7th at the moment. I'm just looking back. Casper looking further back here, currently in P11th, who was probably the biggest casualty of that incident we just watched, down in P11th overall, P17, so not ideal for him at the moment, but needs to keep going. You know, he does have Russ Fowler just in front of him, so there is a position for him to chase overall, but really need to make sure that you score points in this endurance round, even if it is the lower times. You can see the times coming in. The guys, the majority of them, all doing around about 158, and then you see Tom Savage there just putting a 157.8. So really on a charge is Tom. He's currently nearly mid-pack into this field of Pro-Am drivers. Was possibly looking at moving him up, but I just think he puts in the practice, and obviously next season, if he comes to join us again, he will find himself in the Pro-Am field. But to be 3 seconds down and then not that far behind to the front runners in this Pro-Am field just shows the pace that he has out on track.
Yeah, you know, that's one thing, isn't it? You put the practice in and you reap the reward. It's good to see him leading out the way at the front here. And, you know, if we didn't know for a fact that he's doing so much practice, you would think that he is in the wrong class, but you can't you can't take people away from the reward they deserve if they put in the hard work. So we've seen him lap after lap and round after round being very consistent, working hard, and making his way up the grid. So, and another fantastic drive at the moment for him. But other things that are going to come into play is obviously pit stops, slowdowns, crashes. We've got the possibility of traffic, obviously, as well. A 1 minute 58 lap, yes, it is a slightly longer lap, but anything can happen, and that can really jumble the field up as we get deeper into this endurance round.
Certainly has. It looks like Simeon Motorclef has had another incident. Let's have a look at this one. Where is he out on track? That is coming at around turn number 6 here. Yeah, turn 6, coming down to turn 7th. Oh, just slightly loses it, spins it round and lose another position. And we've had a few conversations about Simeon. He has a very quick, and it looks like, it looks like further on that he comes off track, goes back on. Does he have another incident here coming back on? Let's just watch out, because he does actually go back to the pit. So unless there's it's very strange, because you wouldn't have caused too much damage on that, and he might have been just calling it a day, but it's probably the worst round to possibly call it a day there for Simeon, and we'll lose some vital points as he's still up in the top echelons of that Pro-Am field.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to, you don't want to stop driving on these endurance rounds. Yes, you may have had some incidents, and yes, things might happen, but you've got to keep going. Anything can happen to anybody at any time. So, we've seen drivers before that have been in sort of fourth or fifth place end up winning due to crashes and incidents that have happened down track. So, I think one thing he does need to do is potentially look at adjusting his brake bias, because anytime he's coming in there on the brakes trying to trail brake in, it does seem the back end is breaking away on him. So maybe a slight adjustment with the brake bias will help him out, and a little less spicy setup and a bit more on the safe side would definitely help him out. So, but on board with Tom Savage at the moment, he's putting a heck of a lot of pressure on Carpenter in front. I mean, he's all over him at the moment. It's amazing to see the pace that Mercedes has against the Audi, which has been been very strong through the first half of the season.
Certainly have, but if you look at the top of the timing board, there's been a switch around for first and second place. It looks like Thomas Wangen has been involved. It says a crash, but I think it's more of an off track. But let's have a look at the two here. You've got Thomas Wangen in the front, Eric Eisen. I think this is Niels actually gets past Thomas Wangen. Is this down into the first corner? Looks on the inside here, thinks better of it, then thinks again, no, I'm going to go for it. Gets down the inside, gets that position over Thomas Wangen here, coming around turn number 2. Does he have a little bit of a moment coming around turn number 2? Gets on the inside there, trying to get the position back straight away. These two are teammates on the same team, so there's certainly no team orders between the two of them, and it's a bit of a change of position. Maybe it's tactical, maybe it's for them to do a bit of the fuel sharing between the teammates, because these two are now streaking ahead of the rest of it. But that is the overtake of Niels getting past Thomas for the top position.
Yeah, you pretty much read my mind there, actually, Andy. I was just thinking maybe they're doing the old switcheroo. 30 minutes in, change round, get the next car of get Thomas Wangen in behind, saving some fuel as well, trying to eke out that distance and benefit both of the IGL Coatings drivers there by using a bit of tactics. I know we've spoken to Thomas before, and he says that they don't use tactics in racing, but that's the perfect thing to say, isn't it, when you do? So
yeah, so like a Lewis Hamilton. Oh, my tyres have gone, and then what's in the fastest
Oh, Bono, my tyres.
My tyres are gone, and then the fastest lap.
Fastest lap. Yeah. No, but you never know what happens behind the scenes. But it's good to see the guys sort of sharing the lead around. But I know for sure if that was a genuine pass, Thomas Wangen is not going to give up easily, and he'll be attacking Niels all the way around until the last lap of this race.
Certainly will be, as we ride on board with Russ Farley here, currently in P7, P10 in that Pro-Am Fields. Has struggled a little bit this season as Russ, a very consistent driver. I saw him in the TCR on Friday for the SRL League, and his second race was exceptional. I think he got P3 overall. Started reverse grid second place, but maintained that over some very quick drivers. So does have the pace on him. He's just struggled a little bit. I think it's obviously the change of car for him. He was in the Mercedes to begin with, which he's another stalwart for the Mercedes, but has decided to make the switch across to the Audi. And I think he's still learning the car a little bit.
Yeah, the Audi's it's one of those cars that it drives a lot like obviously the Lamborghini, because it's a very similar platform, but the rotation that you get on the downshift is quite severe on the Audi, whereas with the Mercedes it's quite a stable car under braking. So with the Mercedes you can really attack in on the brakes and not worry too much about the back end being lost, but the Audi not so much. It's a bit of an interesting change, and I'm surprised he did change. But at the end of the day, he's got to do what he's got to do to feel consistent. So as we're seeing Casper now coming into the pits, it looks like he's taking that fast repair. He's up in the air, so he's changing tyres as well. It seems a bit strange at this early stage, but if he's got damage and feels like he's not making the lap times up, then it might be a smart move to just get in now and potentially push it as long as he can to make it towards the end of the race. But I think he's going to have a lot of work to do as far as fuel saving goes. It's not really going to be possible, in my opinion.
No, it's not. But I suppose, with the new tyre model that Iracing have got, if you spin off the cars, you can really scrub your tyres up. And obviously we saw him earlier on in that incident with Mats Genstrom coming up to the chicane there and turn 14 and 15. Really got clattered, and we just saw there the fast repair just repairing the front end of that car. And also so he was spun around, so it may have got excessive wear and the tyres were shot on it. So, you know, maybe doing the right thing here, coming in a little bit earlier, getting a full tank of fuel, and then getting a new fresh set of rubbers, a brand new car to be able to make it down, because he's now got 12 seconds behind Nicholas Gronstom in 27th position. So he's got a bit of a free track now to try and start putting in some fast laps. But there's Casper there, just coming in for his first pit stop. I think he will have to come in. He'll definitely have to come in again for a second one. But I think the majority of the field will be coming in for that 2 stops. It's round about, I think you can eke out to just get to that hour mark in these GT3s, so there's a possibility, like you were saying, to do that 1 stop, but it's going to take a lot of restraint to do a bit of fuel saving for 2 stints to get there, to try and save what will be, I mean, the time there from Casper was a 23.93 seconds. Probably talking all in all around about a minute. So you're saving yourself around about a minute, or between 40 seconds and a minute, by not doing that extra stop. So is the fuel saving worth not doing that second pit stop? That's the question, and probably Paul Joseph Clist is the one for us on that. But yeah, I'm sure he'll come in the end, and he'll tell us, and we'll be able to see on the timings as well who does manage to do this race on 1 pit. But you can look in the timing tower there. Simeon Moldeklev has called it a day here, so he is now out of this race. And yeah, it's probably a poor decision, that one, really, to do that on an endurance round where there's more points on offer.
Yeah, I agree. It's not the wisest decision, but you never know. Sometimes you've got to just step away and just call it quits, and regroup and come back stronger. But we're running on board with Mads at the moment. But I was just looking at the timing tower. Niels-Erik Isaacson has actually pulled a 1.5 second gap over Thomas Wangen. So if that was a fuel saving strategy, it's certainly not going to be working for them, because outside of that second distance, you find yourself not actually saving any fuel, and you're not in the slipstream anymore. But I mean, Thomas has pulled it back ever so slightly, but we did see Niels do a 156.69, I believe. Sorry, 156.87 on his last lap, and that's a phenomenal time when Thomas Wangen did a 157.2.
Certainly is. So maybe a little bit of non-team orders, because it did look like Niels was in 2 minds whether he was going to make that move into the first corner, and then decided late on, do you know what, I'm going to go for it, and he does. And he's certainly come on a lot stronger now in these last 3 rounds as Niels. Thomas really probably had his own way at the start of the season, and Niels is now basically coming back into the fray and really putting it to his teammate, and saying you're not going to have it all your own way here. But currently looking at the IGL coatings by Traffic Skull of Lance Sorensen here in 3rd place. They got 1, 2, 3 in that pro field. There is only 5 cars overall, but let's have a look on board with Lass and see if he's looking very calm. And there he is. Sort of see him there, 3 different angles he's got. Very much done a lot of work with his webcams. You can see his feet in the bottom left, what he's looking at in the top left, and then how chilled out he looks on the right hand side of the screen, coming down here into turn number 1, leaning in physically, as you can see him on those webcam, into turn 1. But I think you normally do that as well when you're in the rig. You try and lean to get that in. I mean, turn 1 down here, it's got that dip right at the end of the corner that almost just runs away from the car, and there's so many different lines coming through that first corner. But Last there really getting into the swing of it, leaning into the corners in his sim rig. But good for him at the moment. Currently in P3, 10 seconds behind the front 2, so it's very much going to be a quiet and boring race at the moment for Last there. 3.8 seconds Ketiel Larson, who is behind, and let's drop in on Ketiel, who we've got his camera as well. Let's have a look at Ketiel. There he is. He's looking very, very chilled out with his bandana on there.
Yeah, he's rocking. He's rocking the biker beard there. I like it. It's yeah, it's a decent look, but as you said, looks nice and chilled out, just not doing anything too crazy. Just taking it steady and putting in the consistent laps and finding himself up on the front half of the pro field. So as you said, it's a smaller field today, but he's been a consistent driver all season, and it shows in his driving. And I definitely like his choice of red metallic wheels.
They're very striking, aren't they? But the IGL Coatings team in the top 4 of that pro standings with Arias there, the back end of the pro, not that far behind Ketio for a bit of action a little bit later on. But Arias is another driver that's really come on leaps and bounds over the last couple of years. I remember seeing him earlier out. Not doing very well, and very much doing what Simeon does and spinning a lot. Had the pace, but very much spinning out on track. But yeah, he's coming of age now in the pro field. And what is really good for the likes of Lance Sorensen, Ketio Larson and Arias Yamantas is that as this is an endurance round, it's a depleted pro field, they will be scoring some really decent points out on track. So therefore the likes of Scott Mokes, Daniel Sedgley will get caught. They will get caught and overtaken, and it will promote these 3 drivers in 3rd, 4th and 5th up the standings and give them a real good opportunity to fight for them podium positions come the end of the season. So if there's any rounds you want to avoid missing, it's certainly the endurance rounds.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment we're still in Europe, aren't we? We've got the whole Pacific region to go to at the moment, and there's quite a lot of interesting, difficult tracks there. I mean, as you said before, the endurance rounds, they're so crucial in a championship of this nature with such a long distance. With 12 rounds, you want to be coming to these events and doing the best you can. It's not worth having an overly spicy setup or driving too aggressively. You've got to just get round, put the points in, and succeed from that perspective. But riding on board at the moment with Daniel Carpenter for Sim FX Racing, currently sitting 13th overall, riding behind the Amber Tom Savage. Just goes awfully deep there on the brakes and does a very good job not to collide with the back of the Mercedes there. But I think it was a bit of an accordion effect from the cars in front, and might have just caught him out ever so slightly there. But pushing the Audi as hard as he can, and Tom Savage is looking awfully racy up front. And I mean, does he want to get past Sander at this point and stretch his lead? But if you fight with people that aren't in your class and you fight with people this hard, it generally can go one of 2 ways. You either get through and you look like the hero, or you have a big accident and take out half the field. It's it's really interesting to see what's going to happen here. But as we're seeing 2 cars there running side by side, oh gosh, you definitely can't run side by side through that chicane, and everyone makes it cleanly through there at the moment. And I think Daniel Carpenter was looking to just clear up and pass himself by 4 cars.
Yeah, it definitely was. Leaky McGee's having a big tussle here with Matt Skenstra back, and this pack of 4 cars, as you can see, nose to tail coming down the start-finish line. Matt Skenstra back at the front of this queue, Leaky McGee behind Sander Ryan, Tom Savage and Dan Carpenter as they come down 2 by 2 into turn number 1. Matt Skenstra back on the inside, but can Leaky McGee force his way up? No, he cannot at the moment. Still along abreast, but looking further back. And it's right what you're saying. Tom Savage is playing a risky game here and should just let these Pro-Am field just go off and score the points, because he nearly got taken out there coming down into the Goodyear curve, turn number 8, and he's leading the way in the Amfield by a country mile. Does he need to be pushing it this hard? I know he probably wants a little bit of entertainment, but probably will kick himself as well if he gets taken out of this race, because although he's got a commanding lead in that Am field, it's going to be so easy if he crashes a car, has to tow back to the pits, finds himself at the back of the field. But probably knowing Tom, he'll be able to maybe come back through the field as well, like we saw at Ruskinen as look at it. But at the moment he is certainly not holding any punches with the Pro-Am field. Currently you can see him there in P12, but at the front, Lee King McGee is currently in P5. Matt Genstrom-Bakken has made a bit of a recovery now. He is down 3 places from where he started, so you can see the pace that he had, which got him onto pole after that earlier slowdown incident, and is starting to pull away there from Lee King McGee. So Matt Genstrom-Bakken is on a charge, 5.9 seconds to Christian Otterholt.
Yeah, I mean, 5.9 seconds to Christian Otterholt, but look at the leader of the Pro-Am category at the moment, of James Logsdon, 4 places up from where he originally started, and talk about country mile. I mean, just unbelievable. It's an insane amount of time that he's gained there, and doing a fantastic job for the Team Bareboat car. But he does have Michael Goff for company, and he does have Otterholt for company, and hopefully he's not going to make any mistakes and let the AKM Racing driver come through.
Obviously the AKM Racing driver there in probably the favourable car in the current series of iRacing, in the BMW. The Porsche are sort of fallen out of favour, but James is driving it exceptionally well, currently leading the way in that Pro-Am field, and this is where he needs to be. I mean, if it finished as it is now in the standings of that Pro-Am field, then it's going to be really good for James Logsdon to close down a little bit of that lead that Lee King McGee has got. But this is what we saw, prior to the Road America, the first endurance round that we did have, was that, James Logsdon struggled a little bit, was well out in front in that championship, and was pegged back from the result of that. So is really trying to make amends here in the second endurance race to be able to make sure that he keeps his position at the front and closes down that gap to Lee King McGee and gives us that grandstand finish to the last round of the season.
Yeah, the endurance races are so critical, in this championship, and as we've said many a time before, you've got to show up and you've got to put in a decent result. This championship is long. It is 12 rounds. It is long endurance star racing just in general, but 2-hour stints, they have to be consistent. They have to be not overly aggressive, and you just want to get out front, get yourself a nice gap, and don't do anything silly. So that makes me it definitely makes me worry about Tom Savage in that in that group behind, but we'll have to see what happens here. If James can hang on in the Porsche, it'll be a fantastic drive against the ultimately strong BMW that we've had all season long.
Yeah, it definitely is, but it certainly doesn't have his own way. You can see just behind him Michael Goff being extremely racy, looking for that opportunity to make that passing move. And is he going to try into turn number 1? No, he does not. Just tucks in behind James Logsdon. And then we got Christopher Otterholt, who's at the back of this group, just there. If we look on board, you can just see the battle for that Pro-Am lead in position here as James goes extreme right and gives the position there to Michael Goff, who basically takes it over as first place. I'm not sure what happened there with the cameras, but yeah, it does manage to do it. I think there was an issue there, and a connection issue for Christopher Otterholt, who has now disappeared from third place. He is currently down the order. He is falling down the order, so seems to have had a hardware failure, and that is a kick in the teeth really after what was a really good start, 48 minutes into this, and it looks like he's disconnected.
Yeah, it's nothing worse than being halfway through a round and doing well, and then all of a sudden you get a hardware failure. But it's unfortunately something that's plagued by sim racers all over, and it's something that plagues people in real life racing as well. Mechanical failures, they do happen. The amount of things we see with like punctures or random aero damage and that sort of thing, or engines setting on fire. If you watched the 24 Hours of Nurburgring going back a few years, as the Ferrari burst into flames on this just after the Michael Schumacher S's. But it's just an interesting way to see these drivers go about this race. I don't want to see anybody have a big incident. I don't want anyone to come off track and have hardware failures. It's just something that's awful for any driver, and you don't want people to go out like that.
No, definitely not. But I was just looking there in the timing tower, and Leaking McGee looks like he had a slight issue coming off track. You can see there Tom Savage has managed to get past them, so has got to the front of this fighting group of Pro-Ams, and has managed to get a little bit of a gap over Leaking McGee, who has Sander Highland behind of a company only 0.3 of a second as we watch him again coming down through turn number 1. There's that dip right at the apex of the corner where the car almost like falls away, so you really need to make sure that you're not braking heavily at that point, or that's where you can sort of spin the cars. But Leaking McGee at the moment currently in P4, so not the end of the world in that Pro-Am field. And it's a bit of a change around for the AKM Racing now. We normally see Michael around this position and Lee at the front, but it's certainly role reversals, and this will be some valuable points for the teammate at Leaking McGee, Michael Goff, who's currently leading the way, although being followed closely by James Logsdon in second place. But this will be great for Leaking McGee, having his teammate pass James Logsdon to limit the amount of points he's going to lose if he can. But he's not that far away from Matt Gentrenbacken, but Matt Gentrenbacken seems to be certainly on the pace, and I wouldn't put him past catching James Logsdon by the end of this race.
Yeah, especially if James and Michael start fighting and battling, what does seem to be possible. But James just dashing off slightly there, 1.2 seconds off of the car in front, and not a good thing. If you break that slipstream, especially in a car like the Porsche, you're not going to be able to keep up with the straight line speed of the BMW. But jumping on board with Atlee Rudd at the moment, running down the middle of the AM field. Atlee Rudd, bit of a mixed bag of rounds for him as well. We've seen him be awfully racy in other tracks, but today finding himself in the middle of the field and not too far off of the back of Anderson and Asavon, but doing what he can to get the positions up and just trying to be sensible. I think doing what you really should do in an endurance round and just not trying to push it too hard. But he does have a fantastic slipstream at the moment. Finds himself closing up slightly on Anderson. Is he going to look to put it down the inside? I don't know if he's got the run. No, he doesn't. Thinks better of it. Stays behind and going to think about it on the next long straight and try and make the pass. So, but looking awfully racy for Team Vikings, and wants to get that 18th spot overall.
Yeah, definitely is. It's all about this corner. Can he get a good exit out here to keep really close with Stefan Anderson in front to be able to get that inside move into turn 1? We'll stay on board with Altitude, see what he can do coming down here into turn 1, and a good driver's eye view as well as how much that track just falls away just there, just literally jumps down and then comes around and then through the very tricky turn number 2. So easy to spin the car off, certainly when the tyres get a little bit more worn. It's going to be treacherous for the cars, so obviously taking the wide line through. There's so many different lines that the drivers can actually take around these tracks just to get that advantage over the time. But at the moment, Altitude Rudd currently at the back of this 3-car train with Kim Andre Portland just at the head of it. So if you look at his gearbox, you can see the 3 AM drivers there. Champon Asavon there, the leading AM driver in 3rd place overall, with Stefan Anderson just behind him, and Altitude Rudd, who we were following on with. Gordon Haig at the moment, currently in P4, 2.8 seconds, has Jimmy Vark for a little bit of fun on John, and it's good to see that the McLaren is still getting a showing out on track, so gotta love the McLaren.
Yeah, the fire-breathing monster that is the Macca. I know it's your favourite GT3 as right on cue there, as we see the flames spitting out of the back and nearly burning off the front of the BMW's livery there. But fantastic car, the McLaren. It's awfully underrated, and it does have a fantastic amount of poise and grip and power out of the corners, and it's not too bad on the straight line speed. But the one place it does suffer is those long, sweeping, high-speed corners. With that mid-engine layout, it just does not have the stability or the reliability that you'd like to see from a GT3 car. And I've been caught out, as you know, at the Glen, a track that is definitely not suited for this car. But he's doing a good job, Gordon Haig. He's keeping it on the black stuff and finding himself sort of in the middle to slightly back half of the AM field, and doing what the AM driver should at the moment, just being consistent.
Definitely is. We're getting into the realms of the first round of pit stop. 54 minutes gone. So within the next 5 minutes, or we should see a mass entry into the pit lane. Obviously, we haven't talked about the pit lane here. Very easy again. Another one of the tracks easy to get that speed in the pit lane, because it's just on the end of the last corner. You come around there, and then there's a little bit of a sprint up to the yellow cone. So we might see a few of the drivers getting caught out by speed in the pit lane if they've not done their homework. But looking further back then at the rookie field, we've got Sam Curran still leading the way, but Alan Sandergaard has closed down on Sam, 0.6 of a second. Just see him in the BMW behind. My dark horse for this rookie championship, and is putting a little bit of pressure over the leader at the moment, Sam Curran, and the leader in the rookie field to try and get some points. And if he can manage to get past the American, it's going to be game on for him, because that will be a mountain of points that he has over the rest of that rookie field. So really on course again, and showing his pace here later on in the season, and bodes well for him if he comes back for season 3, that he will be a strong contender and a more all-rounded driver.
Yeah, I mean, Sandergaard's looking awfully racing that BMW, isn't he? It seems to just have a bit more stability and a bit more poise than the Mercedes up front. But as you see there on that little straight burst, the grunt from that V8 in the Merc is just it's the one thing that tends to keep it in front. But the BMW now sort of closing slightly on the exit, and he is going to have a half decent slipstream here, but it's just not going to be enough, I believe, against the monstrously powerful V8 in the Merc.
No, he's not, as we ride on board with Alan Sandergaard, putting a lot of pressure over the leader on the rookie field at the moment, and yeah, doing an exceptional job. And we can just see the similarities between these two cars, certainly down the straights as well, with the power, you know, output from the Mercedes and the power output from the BMW. The BMW does have the slipstream effect, but you can see there that Sam had a really good exit out that corner, just extended the gap, and now the gap will be starting to close down right towards the end of the corner. And coming in, as you see, Alan just closed the gap right up down into turn number 1, and it's hard. And one of the things I always struggle with is following this close behind a car in front is you know, your usual braking positions. You question yourself, because is the car in front going to be able to do the same as what I normally do? And that was a particularly bad corner there from Alan, who lets Sam get a little bit further away from him. But some fine margins and understanding. And I suppose when you get into a 12-round season and you race week in, week out with these drivers, is you sort of understand, you know, a little bit more about what they're doing. You can push it a little bit more. But you can see there, Alan, when he got right behind at the end of turn number 2, sort of backed off a little bit early and probably broke a little bit earlier than he normally does, just to make sure that he didn't go into the back of the Mercedes.
Yeah, it looked like he was struggling with a bit of understeer there as he went down into that hairpin. It does seem like the pace is dropping off. I mean, as he potentially cooked his tyres a little bit, trying to get up on the back of that car there, but that's a bit of a tricky one. You know, he's not looking as racy as he should, and he's got Casper right behind him now for company, and putting a bit of pressure on him from the Pro-Am field perspective as he's making a move down the.
That's Niels Erik Eisen. Yes, that is Neil Erik Eisen, who's just overtaken there. There's Niels. Just overtaken the back markers now, and this is where it's going to come into play more for the front end of the field now, is making through the rest of the track. Let's have a look at where all the cars are out on track. We're currently looking at one who's just coming over the start finish, so just have a couple of cars, but then you look from that big bit coming just out of the arena there from 14th for the Pro, and coming all the way down to 22nd. There's a big gaggle of cars that Niels is going to have to try to navigate through, but you can see there the gap now between Niels Erik Eisen and Thomas Wangland has jumped up to 9.8 seconds. So something must have happened to Thomas Wangland. Let's have a look. Yes, looks like he's had a crash, but he has lost a lot of time. Let's have a look. He was just at the back of Alan Sandergaard coming through the... Let's just go further out here, coming around the last corner. Does he just lose it around this corner? Yes, he does. So, hits the wall, comes back, and that is why he is now 9 seconds behind Niels. But this is probably, if you're going to have a net incident, this is probably the time you want to have it, because you can obviously pit in and fix that car relatively soon. But Niels has now got a commanding lead, 9.5 seconds to Thomas Wangen in second place, and you can see there on the map he's got a bit of open traffic or open track in front of him until he hits the back end of that big long AM train. We can see going through the last corner now, so this is all playing into Niels' hands at the moment to be able to take the lead for the first time in this championship.
Yeah, I mean, one thing he is going to find, obviously, when he does come up to that AM field, and also potentially up into the Pro Am field as they go around for the second half of this race, as we just passed the 1 hour mark, it's not going to be easy to just jump past these other classes. These guys are fighting their own championships, their own battles. Yes, they will have blue flag, but I can't imagine too many people are going to want to jump out of the way and potentially lose valuable points and valuable places. But doing a commanding drive at the moment, as we see Leaking McGee in for a pit stop, Andy.
He is, and he has managed to leapfrog Tom Savage in the pit lane. So a great stop there from Lee King McGee. He took 40 seconds, so pretty much filled his car. I'd imagine he's changed all 4 tyres. And just looking at Tom Savage, he took 39.03. So, you know, fine margins in that pit lane, and has managed to come out on top, really, as he takes a wide line there from Niels. Just getting out wide, so a great opportunity to see how to do it properly, but that has put him under pressure straight away from Tom Savage here, the AM driver, so pushing the Pro-Am leader at the moment to the max on track. But looking at the pits, we got Thomas Wangen in. Obviously that was to be expected after that front end issue around the last corner. Just obviously getting his car repaired, getting the fuel on board, probably changing the tyres, and then going on for this last hour race as he's stationary there in the pits. Just looking at his time as is it? Nope, 41.52 seconds there for Thomas Wangen. So imagine that's every tyre changed and overall. But yeah, we're starting to now get into the realms. We've got Lance Sorensen in, Michael Goff, our leader in the Pro-Am field, into the pit lane. So we've got Matt Skenstrom back where he was at the front of the race, or at the front of the Pro-Am field, still going out strong. So he is leading the way, but still yet to give us a pit stop. So it's going to be interesting to see now, can Matt Skenstrom back and try and claw back the time. He was around about 3 seconds behind Michael Goff. It's probably a tall order to try and leapfrog in the rounds of pit stops for that distance back, but he might be able to close it up a little bit more, and certainly showing his pace out on track of 157.1. I mean, I'm just looking at the fastest lap. That's probably the second fastest lap on track. Fastest lap being by Niels Erik Isaacson at 156.6. I mean, that is just insane time around here. The average the rest of the drivers is around about the mid to late 157s on the track for the rest of the Pro-Am. So certainly very racy, and his fastest lap was indeed his last lap, so really putting the hammer down to close down that target to Michael Goff as we watch him coming into the pit lane now. We'll stay on board with Matsson to see where he comes out. Does he decide, you know what, I need to make up this time, so I'm not going to change the tyres, just going to put the fuel in. It probably changed 2 tyres to try and just limit the time. So I'm just looking further back the field. So where is Michael Goff on track? There he is. His time was a 41.82. Let's have a look, see where Michael is. He is coming around turn number 11 there, the Ravenel curve, coming through Blitzen curve. So this is going to be close, you know.
Yeah, incredibly close. I can't decide right now, but I think it's going to be right down to the wire. I mean, an average pit stop, what we're looking at, around about 39-40 seconds, depending on what fuel situation you've taken, or if you've managed to do any sort of fuel saving. But Michael Goff right now, as he's heading up, coming around towards the last corner, we still see Mats is sitting in the pit lane. He is down now after potentially what looks like taking tyres and just waiting for those last drops of fuel to come in. But now Michael Goff onto the final straight here as he's pushing his way down. Is Matt still in the pits? It looks like he is. Oh, Matt is now moving. Is he going to jump him?
He has indeed. He's managed to jump. That's Mads Gensrum back in just in front there. So he has leapfrogged Michael Goff in the round of pit stops. The difference is 39.1 for Mads Gensrum back and 41.82 for Michael Goff. And that extremely fast in lap there, 157.16. Really helping to catapult him to first place overall in this Pro-Am field. So Michael Goff currently second in there, and a masterstroke really from where Matt's was at the start of this race. He is currently back leading it after a masterstroke of a fast lap in lap, which is what you really want, and then just shaving a couple of seconds off that pit stop to get himself back out in front in this Pro-Am field. So a great pit stop strategy there from the IGO Coatings team.
Yeah, fantastic job there. You know, the pit crew of the IGO Coatings team have done a fantastic job and managed to get that fuel in faster than anybody else. But it does mean now Michael Goff has got some severe work to do, 1.9 seconds, but he does have 55 minutes of time to put those laps in, and hopefully he can manage to claw it back and get back in the lead of the Pro-Am category. But running aboard at the moment with James Logsdon, still plugging away in that Porsche. Currently sitting down in 5th position in the Pro-Am category, but we are waiting for some drivers in that field to go into the pits, as we see Sander Island now into the pit lane and sort of progressing down the order. But the Porsche is one of those cars at the moment that just isn't on the pace, Andy. You know, it's just not got the spice that it used to have coming back a few seasons ago, and I'm waiting for the day that it does come back round and I might find myself on the grid.
Certainly does, and James obviously flying the flag for the die-hard Porsche drivers there as he gets himself back up into 4th place. Kim-Andre Bortland still yet to pit. An hour and 6 minutes into this, he must be doing some extreme fuel saving as well, along with some of the other. I think the only ones to pit, Kim-Andre Bortland is the only driver out on track at the moment who is still yet to give us a pit stop, and that's a phenomenal job in the BMW to be able to save for an hour and 6 minutes into this race and still not pitted.
Yeah, I mean, if we could bring the weather up again, Andy, please. I was just thinking that as we were looking, you know, the track temperature is awfully low at 24 degrees C, ambient temperature of 18 degrees C. But one thing that that does surprise me that is not draining the fuel, 17k wind. I mean, that's not, obviously it's not blowing a hurricane, but if you look at most of the times that we go out on track in the Iracing platform, you're not seeing winds that are this high. But you think that would be a bit more of a battle for the cars to have to push through. But the BMW seems awfully slippery, and I mean, the fact that he's still going now at 1 hour and 7 minutes 30 seconds long is just it's unbelievable. I mean, is he half pedaling it around every corner? He must be doing something phenomenal. I need to get some tips off him for some endurance rounds. And as we see, as clockwork, and he's coming into the pits.
Definitely is. So this is our last driver to give us a pit stop. So let's have a look on the left-hand side in the timing tower. The current standings in each one of the class. So Nia Erik Zeisen, your leader in the pro field, over 8.1 seconds. So that's come down around about 1.8 seconds to Thomas Wangen in second. Ketil Larsen in third, with Lance Sorensen in 4th and Arius Romantis in 5th. Kim-Andre Bortland currently leading in that Pro-Am, but will find himself down probably round about 3rd or about 4th or 5th in the class to see Matt Gensrum back and just go past. Michael Goff in 2nd, James Logsdon in 3rd, Sander Island in 4th. Lee King McGee, is he going to be able to try and get past Kim-Andre Bortland here? Ideally needs to try to, yes he is. So you can see there Lee King McGee currently 5th in class. Jonathan Cook's had a good one as well. He's managed to leapfrog a few drivers. But looking further black in the Amfield, Asavon has managed to get to the front of that Am field with Sammy Hendricks in second place, Stefan Anderson, Alte Rudd in fourth place, with Gordon Haig in fifth place. And look who is now at the top of the rookie standings. Alan Sandergaard, going for 2 in 2, has managed to get past Sam Curran for the top spot there. 3.1 seconds is the gap now between Alan Sandergaard and Sam Nicholas Gronstrom in third, with Paul Joseph Kliss in fourth and Torbe Mele in fifth place in that rookie field. So that's your current standards at the moment. We'll leave that at the top to see who gets changed. But Asavon, I'm just trying to think who was at the front of that Anfield, and has a mistake been made? Where's Tom Savage? Wow, okay, so Tom Savage currently finds himself in P7th. So we've missed that one about what's happened to him, but I'll try and find out. But he is gone. He's gone into the pits twice as well. So has he either hit the incident limit here today, which is 20, I think, no, it's 25 incident points. But he finds himself down in P7th after we were just watching him fighting heavily in the Pro Anfield. It just shows how quickly things can change in this endurance race.
Yeah, I mean, has something happened that we were talking about before? Has he been battling too hard with the class above and found himself come a cropper and managed to, you know, have an incident of some kind that's either caused damage or pushed himself off and he's connected with the barrier, or has he just been sort of squeezed offline by the field in front? Tom Savage, as we were saying, you know, for the first hour of this race, phenomenal driver, very, very, very fast. Is he just pushing a little too hard and you know, stretching out of his comfort zone a little bit too much, and that's now caused an incident that unfortunately has put Peter's race, and he finds himself right down at the bottom of the AM field. But he has got some time to claw some positions back. But I mean, he's looking at a pretty monstrous gap really to be able to claw things back, to get near the front and battle with the guys at the front of the AM field.
Yeah, it definitely is. Let's have a just see if we can find this. This is Tom entering the pits. So he enters the pits, and I'm just looking. So let's make sure that this is okay, and then he leaves.
Did he get it slowed down? Did he get it slowed down enough?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he did. But then he comes back in, so he leaves the pits. Just trying to have a look at what happened. Sammy Hendricks.
So he's taking fuel and tyres there.
So he leaves the pits, and then just looking further down, he comes back into the pits. I'm sure he does. Let me just try and have a look at the time attack, because this is a strange one of what's happened to him. I can't see any incidents where he has been out on track, but that was a relatively straightforward pit stop, and he comes back into the pit. So I'm not sure what happened to Mr. Savage. Let's have a look at the next time, if I can find it, where he comes back into the pits again.
Yeah, that's really strange. It's not something that we would we normally see from really any driver on track, let alone somebody that is normally battling, if not winning, in his category. So either a phenomenal error on Tom's part, or potentially another hardware issue strikes. It's going to be interesting to ask him at the end to see what's actually happened to him there. But a really unfortunate day at the office for Tom Savage so far for Bear Pup Zero, and hopefully he can claw back some positions over the next 47 minutes or so.
Yeah, it definitely is a very, very strange one. It looks like he's left the pit lane twice. So has he? I don't know what's occurred. But whatever it is, it's going to be an entertaining last 50 minutes of this race to see how far Tom Savage can get back up. I mean, there's no damage on that car, so obviously he used his fast repairs and got whatever he might have had. But it's my timing tower at the moment is showing that he's been in the pits twice. He's doing 157.8, where the rest of them around are doing 158s. High 158, so there's opportunity yet for him to try and get there, but whatever the issue is, it's all down for him today. But what that has done is Champa Asvan is currently leading the way in this Anfield at the moment, 3.5 seconds ahead of Sammy Hendricks in second place, with Stefan Anderson, who's closely following him behind. I mean, these three drivers are all pretty much close together, covered by just over a second with Gordon Haig 2.8, and then you got Tom Savage just off the back 4.2 seconds. So something's obviously clearly happened, but it'll be going into the pit lane twice, because like I said, it's around about a minute into the pit lane of where it is. But strange, and hopefully we'll find out what happened. But looking back up at the pros, we got Lance Sorensen here in 4th place, closely following Ketil Larsen, who's managed to get up to 3rd. So the teammates are just battling it out between themselves. Obviously 4 out of the 5 pros are the IGL Coatings team, so thank God they came along, or else the pro field would be very low if they didn't come along. But Arias probably wouldn't mind that. You know, he'd win a race then, I would imagine.
Yeah, probably. So, I mean, Arias is a fast driver anyway, isn't he? He's not slow by any means. But as you said before, awful start to his season. Really, we saw him incredibly racy, but just overdriving the car and having a few sort of silly incidents that knocked him down the championship. So, but as far as championships goes, we've obviously got the Clio Cup, which is on Thursday nights at the moment. And we're seeing a big mix-up as far as the groups and things go with that. But the other thing that we are looking forward to is obviously super trucks, and we know that Aris Diamantis is a phenomenally fast super trucks driver, and I'm hoping he's going to join us for that one on the grid.
I'm sure he will, and I think what we'll do to get everybody stoked for that one is put on a test session where anybody can join it, just to see how much fun, and pretty much will fill the grid if people come along to that test session and have a go with driving around the super trucks. It is probably the best racing that you will have in iRacing, second to none for the laugh of it. And obviously we have no incident points level. You can literally go where you want on the track as long as iRacing counts it as a lap. You can pretty much carve up the track of however you want. Have a look at it on Apex Racing TV, the Super Truck series that they did over there, and for the first round we had 5 trucks on track, and you wouldn't have thought that. I don't think I've heard commentators, although Austin Knight is one for being rather animated, but he certainly was animated in that series. A great series that we're looking forward to bringing here to Performance Link, and I'm pretty sure that both myself and Tom will be laughing our heads off with the lines and spills and thrills that we'll have in that. But that is in the future. This is now currently watching James Loxton, who's managed to close the gap to Michael Goff for this second place overall. The gap to the first place has extended. 3.6 seconds is the gap between Genschenbachen and Goff here for the lead of this Pro-Am field. And it looks like Michael Goff will be looking in his rear view mirrors at James Loxton, who really wants to maximise the points available to him in this round. After having the disastrous round in Road America, finds himself in a position that can claw back some very valuable points to Lee King McGee. We can see Lee King McGee there, currently in P, 10th overall, 5th in class. You know, it's probably not the points haul that James wants to try to, so really needs to get past Lee King McGee's teammate here from AKM Racing, Michael Goff, to get that second place, which will extend the points gap, or should I reduce the deficit of that 15 point gap that Lee King McGee has in that Pro-Am field. So still has time on his side at the moment, just tipping into an hour and 18 minutes of this 2-hour race over. And like we said, who's going to have to come in for a second stop, and who's going to try and eke out to do that one stop?
Yeah, I mean, they were right on the cusp, weren't they, of that 1 hour limit. We didn't see anybody really sort of stretch it too far enough to make it a safe bet for them to push it all the way to the end of the race. We're gonna see who can actually make it happen. If they do a bit of fuel saving and they stay in a slipstream like Atle Rudd is at the moment, they're possibly going to be able to make it, but it's still going to be an awfully close call. I mean, if you're trying to be racy and battling up the front there, you don't want to ease off too much, because you're going to have the driver behind you right on your tail. They're going to be pushing, and they may potentially have saved enough fuel in your slipstream to be able to actually make that move. So we're looking at the moment, Sammy Hendricks getting awfully loose there in the ball. the outside, nearly a contact with the BMW on the inside of it looks like, is that Asavon? No, sorry,
Anderson.
it's Anderson. Thank
Oh,
you.
three
Yeah.
wide.
Oh, three wide. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I think Olte just backed off a little bit there to get three wide, but certainly a poor exit there from Sammy out of the last corner. That's really given the emphasis to Stefan Anderson from Dane Racing to be P2 now in the Anfield. A slight little mistake there, and that's all it takes. Fine margins of winning or losing the positions there. You just saw Sammy went deep into the last corner, which gave him a really poor exit out of there, whereas Stefan Anderson really maximised the speed and got his exit out of that last corner and was able to power past the Porsche. As we look here, Sammy just trying to get past, really probably kicking himself for the fact that he actually lost that position over a relative silly mistake from himself. He was leading the group out, so didn't really need to go as aggressive as he did into the last corner. So now just trying to, and what he doesn't want to be doing now is just over driving the car and give another opportunity to Olte, who we're just seeing there just behind him. If he does make a mistake, we'll capitalise on him, but at the moment Stefan Anderson is in second place in this battle of three for second, third and fourth in that AM battle.
Yeah, the Anfield hotly contested is, as we see, obviously with the Pro-Am being hotly contested, there's plenty of pace from all these different classes, and the BMW at the back there really putting some pressure on the Porsche. Is he going to have the run now coming into the last chicane to be right on board with that? They read. He's looking down on the inside at the moment. Does he have it on the brakes? The Porsche is running very deep indeed. They're going to go nearly too wide, and the Porsche manages to maintain, but he's unfortunately now lost a bit of the ability of the exit coming out of the corner. And now the BMW is riding right on the back of Sammy Hendricks, and he could, if he gets a good exit here, not fantastic, but he's now going to have the pace to push down, looking for a pass into Yokohama. But looking at the moment with that sort of gap, I don't think he's going to be able to make up half a second, even if he does go for an epic dive. But fantastic on the brakes, the BMW, really closing up on the Porsche, and doing a fantastic job to stay with Sammy Hendricks at this point.
Yeah, definitely is. But Stefan Anderson, who's just in front of this two-car battle we're watching, is rubbing his hands because he's managed to get a 1.5 seconds because Sammy Hendricks is defending for his life to Olte Rudd. And what this is doing as well is, if we look further back at who's behind, it is Gordon Hagen. You can see him there. He's closing up onto the back of these three drivers and literally just cutting his line. So if these two in front just keep battling as much as they are, then we'll soon find it's a four-car race for P2 in that AM. So Gordon is itching to try and get on the back end. With every corner he is closing down on the Olte Rudd Sammy Hendrick battle that is just in front of him here.
Yeah, he's driving that McLaren fantastically well, being very patient, getting on the accelerator and not inducing too much in the way of the understeer that this car can suffer from, depending on your setup. But the guys in front are going to be battling hard, and this, as you said, it could allow Gordon just to sneak in front, but run the ball with Stefan at the moment. He's managed to eke out a slight gap over the cars behind, but Sammy Hendricks is certainly feeling the pressure from behind from out the road. Is he going to be able to maintain it? We'll have to wait to find out.
Yeah, we got a grandstand position here, looking back here from Stefan Anderson, the battle of Sammy Hendricks and Olte Rudd, just trying to get that last podium position on the Anfield, and it was for second place for Sammy. A little mistake around this corner we're just watching now on the exit that was able to give Stefan Anderson the ability to get past Sammy Hendricks here, and then Sammy Hendricks has been under a world of pressure from the ever charging Olte Rudd as let's have a look. Sorry, let's have a look back from here. There's Sammy there just managing to maintain that, but it's super defensive, which has given Stefan Anderson the opportunity to scamper away here in the battle, because he's very much looking in his rear view mirror of the ever charging. And look now, if you look at the back, look at that, Gordon Hagen's closed down the gap. It is getting ever closer. 1.2 seconds is now the difference between Gordon Hagen, Olte Rudd, and 0.9 of a second to Sammy Hendricks to Olte. So this third place in the AM is certainly heating up, coming into 24 minutes, an hour and 24 minutes of this 2-hour race. just gone by, and yeah, it's all heating up now in this AM battle for the second place. What isn't is the first place at the moment. Shamapon Asavon is having an outstanding round. You can see him there, around about 6 seconds ahead of Stefan Anderson in second place, and does have Russ Valley. You can just see Russ in the background, 1.5 seconds. But this is going to be a great day at the office here for Shamapon.
Yeah, Shadowbomb's just, he's doing the dream drive at the moment, isn't he? He's got the guys behind fighting away with each other, and that's allowing him to stretch his legs and pull out what is, a fantastic lead of 8 seconds. But it's going to be interesting to see who does actually make that leap for the second place in the AM field. We've got decent battles and decent contesting all the way up, and these guys are pushing hard, and it's not going to take long for that McLaren as well to get up. But Tom Savage now as well, also getting onto the back of this train and looking to get up with the rest of the gag of the cars. And we've got 35 minutes left of this endurance race, and it's going to be enough, I believe, for Tom Savage, who is awfully racy, to make a move on the McLaren if the McLaren doesn't catch up to make a move on the BMW and the Porsche in front.
Yeah, you can certainly see that Tom Savage is now closing down in on Gordon Hay coming around the first corner, but then, like we said, they're not that far behind the battle for Sammy Hendricks and Alte Rudd, with Stefan Anderson not that far in front. So what seems to be a disaster for Tom, for what unknown reasons that we don't know at the moment, because we did see him up well ahead of the field, has had to take 2 pit stops, and has found himself down in P6 overall in this AM field, but he does have opportunity. Certainly the quickest AM driver on track, and closing down in now currently on Gordon Haig, who's lost a little bit of momentum now, probably looking in his rear view mirrors at Tom, has let that gap between himself and Alte Rudd in front grow to 2 seconds, so it was down to 1.2. So yeah, it's I think the writing on the wall at the moment for Gordon Haig as we watch Tom Savage just trying to get up on the inside here into turn number 11. Does he have the inside line? Is this going to be Nosisef? Yes, Gordon Haig just giving him the space, but has the inside line here, but the alternate line. So I think, yeah, Tom Savage has managed to get that place. So currently up into P5, 2.8 seconds. So that couple of battling corners there has increased that gap between Tom Savage and Alte Rudd in front. It's 2.9 seconds, considering it was only 2 seconds a few corners ago.
Yeah, it's we expect to see that from Tom Savage, don't we? Incredibly fast driving. Unfortunately, had that incident where he managed to take 2 pit stops, and we will get some inside information on that once the race comes to a close. We'll send him a message and try and find out, if not, get an interview with him to see what's happened there. But we're running on board again with Atle Rudd, who's looking awfully racy in that BMW, weaving from left to right to left again, trying to take that wide sort of cutback line on the Porsche as he nearly comes to a complete stop coming into turn 1 in the Yokohama S's there, and gives himself a bit of a fright. But that Porsche now looks like it's starting to suffer from a bit of understeer, and the BMW that is the car that is, it's the one that can do it all. Is that ability of that car, of that driver, going to be enough to catch up to the Porsche in front? I think it's going to happen, Andy.
It possibly is, but obviously that BMW has been behind that Porsche for around about 8 laps now. So is the tyres starting to, like you were saying, get a little bit more scrubbed? Is the wear starting to be told on that BMW now? So it's all going to be down to this. Do the drivers need to take the last pit stop? So if Alte is struggling a little bit and he knows that he has to make that first stop, it might be sort of advantageous to take that pit stop now to get them new tyres, fresh set of boots on there, to be able to get the quicker laps, because at the moment he's not finding a way past Sammy Hendricks for this P3 overall. Now you can see the gap from Sammy Hendricks to Stefan Anderson for in front is just getting up sort of the 2 second marker. So these two battling it out are letting Stefan get that little bit of advantage out in front. He pretty much has 2.8 seconds till the next car, which is Russ Fowler. So he can pretty much cut the lines that he wants to on the track with no real pressure behind him. So at the moment, it's these two out on track who are trying to fight with each other that are letting him get further out. But let's have a look down the order. Let's have a look at Alan Sandergaard. Currently 4.7 seconds ahead of Sam Curran, so extended that lead since the last time we looked at him by the tune of around about a second and a half. So Alan Sandergaard again going for a double race winner out in Hockenheim in spectacular fashion, and again doing a cracking job here. And this is certainly the round to do it, isn't it, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, these endurance rounds, as we've said, many a time before, and as we said at the beginning of this event here, if you can be on track, get good positions, and work your way up through the field to get yourself a win, especially in the endurance round, that's going to be a massive leap in the point standings. So it's really going to shake things up. I mean, even looking up at the front there with Niels-Erik Isaacson being in front of Thomas Wangen, that's going to give him, only a marginable amount of points, but still, it's going to be a decent round there. These guys are putting in the time to get these positions as much as they can in the endurance rounds, because the sprint, well, they're not really sprint, the 70-minute rounds that we normally have are a lot more racy, a lot closer, a lot more aggressive from the drivers, and things can go awfully wrong. That's why you want to try and be careful and get a decent position to get the points in these endurance rounds.
Yeah, it definitely is. And just to give you a sort of indication of the points difference of here, so our normal Format A, which is the 110 minutes, for a win it's 15, then it goes down to 13 for second, then it's 12, 11, 10, all the way down to P14th, which is 1 point. This Format B, first position is 30, so double what Format A is. Then it's 26, 24, 22, 20, 18. It goes down in 2. So you can see the points difference between it's it is double what Format A is. So having a good round in the endurance rounds is really what it's all about, and that's where we saw Lee King McGee make that really big leapfrog over James Logston at the moment. And talking about them two, who are currently up in third and fifth. So James will be getting 24 points, and obviously Lee King McGee will be getting 20 points as it stands at the moment. So that 15-point gap will be brought down to 11 points. Now, if James can maintain that, or if he's able to get past his teammate Michael Goff here for second place overall, that's even more points that he can close back in. So it could be below 10 points by the end of this round. It depends what happens to Lee King McGee. Can he maintain that position? He's 3.6 seconds behind Sander Island. John O'Cook's 4.4 seconds behind him. So in a bit of a no man's land at the moment is Lee King McGee. James Logston half a second behind Lee King McGee's teammate Michael Goff here. If he can manage to leapfrog him, that's another 2 points that's going to bring it down. So that'll be a 9-point difference going into the last 4 rounds, going over to the Pacific rounds, and it just gets it. And then obviously we've got the last round of the season is around Bathurst, and is another endurance round. So it's certainly not over by a long shot, the Pro-Am top race for the top spot between James Logston and Lee King McGee. But there's still a lot that can happen, and it's down now to James Logston to try and make sure he secures them valuable points in the championship to be able to claw in Lee King McGee. But we've seen how fortunate and how lucky Lee King McGee has been in the past, and you wouldn't put it past him to be close to, and that's all he needs to be, close to James Logston, because even a 9-point gap, with the Format A, the points difference is only 2 points, and then 1 point from second down to third and so on is the difference. So he can't win it by just being 1 place ahead. James Logston needs to be at least 2 or 3 places ahead, and then that final round in Bathurst is Lee King McGee probably just needs to make sure that he stays with James Logston wherever he is. So very much a tactical battle from the remaining rounds in this Performance Link GT3 Cup Season 2, and it's always good though, and it's always entertaining as well for our viewers if it comes down to the last race of the season of who's going to win, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. We saw in season 1 of the GT3 Cup with Performance Link the fact that it came down to the last race for the Pro Championship, for it to actually be won from a guy that had just had an operation to have a rotator cuff done, the driver Scott Mokes. I mean, a fantastic commitment by him, but it does show that this championship is wide open still, even with the remaining rounds we have. Yes, there are quite a few tracks to go, but that still means that there's plenty of opportunity for people to to make things up and do what they need to do to jump up the championship points. So unfortunate day for Leaking McGee, obviously, with that incident early on and ending up with bent steering for the first sort of hour stint almost. It's not worked out well for him, but he does seem to have some fantastic luck in other rounds, and I'm sure he's going to come back extra racy for the next round, as we see him there putting in a half decent time of a 1:57. But running on board right now with Niels Erik Isaacson, the man of the moment, the guy that's leapfrogged over his teammate Thomas Wangen in a move that we couldn't tell if it was a team order or if it was an actual legitimate pass. But Thomas did have a spin on the last corner, which is very unusual for him. But trying to put the pace in and keep up with Niels. But Niels is doing a fantastic job right now, just putting in lap after lap after lap. And I mean, his best lap was a 1:56.6, and that is just absolutely storming as far as pace goes. So fantastic job today by the IGL Coatings Iracing by Sander Traffic Skull driver, and fair play to him. If he can keep it going for the next 25 minutes, he's going to find himself on the top spot of the podium.
Yeah, it certainly will be, and it'll be 4 points ahead of his teammate Thomas Wangen. And like we said, we've got 4 rounds left to go, 3 of them being Format A. And obviously Niels has really come on form, winning the last 2 races. Up until that point, it was pretty much the Thomas Wangen show, so it's certainly coming down now to the sharp end of this Pro Championship. So if we look at the championships as a whole, we got the pros that are finally balanced going into the Pacific rounds. Then we've got the Pro-Am, which again, if it finishes as it is now, or if James Dobson can manage to get past Michael Goff, then that closes that up to single points is the difference. 9 points will be the difference if he manages to get past Michael Goff, or if it finishes as it is now, it'll be 11 points difference, so still a sizable gap for him. Then we've got obviously the AMs here with Tom Savage. He's managed to get back up through the order. You can see him there. He's already managed to get past Alte Rudd to be in 4th place, so and there's only 0.3 of a second behind Sammy Hendricks. So, he is clawing back where he left off. So I think really for the AM battle, it's down to 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th overall in the championship. Then we go back down to the rookie. Sorry, I just had a picture fall off my wall. Where you go down to the rookie, and you got Sam Curran, who's currently leading the way out there. But Alan Sandergaard at the moment is on a flyer. He pretty much destroyed the rookie field out in Hockenheim, and obviously here at the moment he is currently 5.4 seconds ahead of Sam Curran. Won't obviously get up into the higher echelons, but what he will do is he'll score some excellent points to gain the gap and close the gap on Gonstrom, who's currently in 3rd place, and then Paul Joseph Clist, who's in 4th, and Torben Melli in 5th. So, will find himself in the battle, and he's certainly showed his pace now. Has come to the forefront, really got to handle with this BMW car, and like I said, I think he is a dark horse choice for that rookie championship, if not to win it, certainly to be in the top 3. So all the 3 in the top 3 currently at the moment in the rookies just need to be have one eye at the back of their head for looking at this driver or in front of him at the moment, because he's just driving it like he pretty much stole the car and is putting it in the super fast lap time. So yeah, he's doing an exceptional job. Currently has just over 20 minutes of this race to go to be scoring the maximum of 30 points, and it's going to be interesting to see the order in that rookie field come the next round out.
Yeah, I mean, the Dame Racing driver there just doing a fantastic job, and he's obviously finding something that he's gelling with that BMW in a way that's allowing him to just leapfrog his competitors in the rookie class. I mean, even the pro driver of Yomantis behind isn't catching him as fast as you would expect, but doing a fantastic job. It's it's what you want to do in the endurance round. If you can win it, get that massive amount of leapfrog points, I think your call as far as him being a dark horse in this round and in this championship could be correct. You know, he's got the dark horse paint job, and it seems to be working out well for him.
It does indeed. I mean, we've got 3 rounds left. We've got Twin Ring Motegi coming up next week. Then we have a 2-week break for the 6 hours of the Glen and the Rest week. And then we go into the final 2 rounds of the season, round Suzuka. And then the final round on Saturday, the 2nd of July at Mount Panorama, Bathurst, for the last endurance race. So there's only 3 races to go, but them 2 tracks themselves, Twin Ring Motegi and Suzuka, they're extremely tricky tracks, and it's going to be interesting to see if the front runners can maintain their cool. I mean, we've seen that certainly at Suzuka at 130R, the amount of spins that we had last time we visited that track last season, you know, it could win or lose a championship just around that 130R.
Yeah, the 130R, you know, it's very, very dangerous. It's one of those corners that's incredibly high speed. It's if you go too wide, or if you clip the curb, or if you do anything that's offline there, you can find yourself in the wall or in the grass, or potentially smashing into some of the other competitors as they come up to that tight chicane at the end of the drive. But it's not a lot of forgiveness at 130R, and that's why we see a lot of people come a cropper. But riding aboard right now with Michael Goff for AKM Racing, doing a fantastic job just sort of sticking on the back half of James Ogden here. Currently sitting about 0.4, nearly half a second off, but that Porsche is just maintaining the balance, doing quite well. And the BMW, I'm surprised it's not managed to push past the Porsche and take that position on the straights. But James Ogden, fantastically fast driver, as we know from previous rounds in the championship, just doing his thing and keeping his cool, even though he's got a lot of pressure from Michael Goff sitting behind.
Yeah, obviously the pressure was all on Michael with James Logsdon. Let's have a look at how James Logsdon managed to get past the BMW driver for that 2nd place in that pro field. So let's have a look at the passing move. Oh, it looks like it's down into turn number 1. Just gets that inside line into turn 2. And as soon as you got your nose up into that, you're on the inside line for turn number 3, which can almost push out wide the driver on the outside. So side by side here, coming through the arena section, and Michael Goff on the inside, but vitally James just gets the inside line into each one of them corners, coming here down into turn number 6, manages to get past Michael there for the turn, and Michael just probably coming off a little bit to try and get that inside line. But that's how James Logsdon has taken that 2nd place, and as we said in the point standing, that'll bring the lead from Lee King McGee, if it stays as it is at the moment, to James Logsdon down to 9 points. Bear in mind there's only 3 rounds left to do, so very much still a tall order for James Logsdon to make that passing opportunity, or sorry, get that 9-point gap. That's if it stays and Michael doesn't have the opportunity to get past James, which obviously say that the power of the BMW being this close is always going to be an opportunity to make that pass, and this might be it as Michael goes to the inside, thinks better of it, stays on the outside here into turn number 1. Coming into the last 20 minutes of this race, 18 minutes left to go, and you can sort of see there James just being super defensive, which is well within his rights to do, being the lead car in this group. So it's all down to Michael to try and find that gap to get back that 2nd place and really help out his teammate and give him that 11-point buffer. But still, I think an 11-point is going to come down to the last race, and it's going to be all down to Lee King McGee, as long as he can navigate past Twin Ring Motegi and then obviously Suzuka. It's going to be down to the last round. But James Logsdon is not going to let him off the leash as such, and is going to put a lot of pressure on Lee King McGee to see what sort of minerals Lee has, if he can keep his cool and keep his calm. Because often when you put a lot of pressure on a driver who's got the opportunity to win a championship, that's when you get the little mistakes sort of cropping in, as we see there Michael doing it slightly wrong up through the center S's there, losing a little bit of ground there to James Logsdon, just tipping into the 1 second. So is Michael pushing a little bit too hard, and is James just trying to keep it nice and cool?
Yeah, if unfortunately if he gets outside that 1 second margin, he's going to lose the slipstream. And even though the BMW does seem to be phenomenally strong down the straights, we're going to find him dipping off against the Porsche, which is not what you really want to see at this later stage. But fantastic drive either way for Michael Goff. You know, he's pulled it back now to 0.7 of a second. And one thing we are going to find with the Porsche, it does start to suffer from understeer as the fuel load gets a bit lighter with that weight obviously over the rear end from the rear engine layout, and that could potentially open up an opportunity for the BMW. But I was watching before, obviously, on that initial passing move by James Logsdon. I did find it incredible how Michael Goff was able to maintain the grip around the outside of the Porsche for a couple of corners there, and just found himself on the wrong side of the exit coming out through this last turn, and ended up losing the position. But great battling and great driving by these drivers, and hopefully we'll see if Michael Goff can put it to him in this final stage.
Yeah, definitely is. Currently on board with Mats Genstrabachen, who after the slowdown we saw earlier on at the beginning of the race lost him around about 8 positions, caused a bit of an incident into the chicane, into the Veldol chicane, has managed to fight his way back after a masterstroke, literally a 157 in lap, which was able to leapfrog both Michael Goff and James Logsdon to get that, and since then has sort of just extended himself out. I think, to be honest, it's I think it's worthy for Mads to get the possible race win. I'm not going to jinx him at the moment, but obviously what happened out in Hockenheim, where he was leading the way again, lost his monitors, crashed out into turn number 1, and pretty much put pay to this race. It's almost like retribution for himself if he's able to get to the end of this race and win. So my hopes are Mads able to do it. He's certainly got the lead over James Logsdon 9.4 seconds. So, hopefully he doesn't have any mechanical or equipment failure that puts him out. So touch wood for you, Mads. But done a great job to fight his way back up to the front of the field.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. The fact that he's leading out the way there by 9 seconds is it's absolutely ridiculous, isn't it? Really. So fantastic recovery drive by him. And then speaking of recovery drives, we're watching Tom Savage right now for the Bear Pope Zero team in that super speedy Mercedes. He's actually managed to get himself up a few more positions, and now is fighting once again for the top sort of podium spot. Shamrapon Asavon is I believe going to be too far ahead. I can't see him making up that much distance, but the sheer fact that Tom Savage was battling up there with the Pro-Ams, it does show that he has the pace to potentially pull off the race of his life here over Rutskogen, which was another race of his life. So we'll have to wait to see what happens between these drivers, and if Tom can make it up. But fantastic driving all round by these guys, and it would be a shame to see that if Shamrapon doesn't win this race, I'd be very surprised, as he's been incredibly consistent, putting in the fast laps time and time again, and cementing his spot there on the top of the podium so far.
Well, it was 3.9. It's down to 3.3. We're into the final 15 minutes. You can just see Tom Savage there at the back. That Mercedes just coming around the corner. So there is an opportunity for Tom to try and get up. It depends if Shamrapon Asavon can keep his cool and just keep the laps going here out in front. It's probably worth getting that pro driver to overtake him and then basically tucking up behind him, because that time is just coming one way, and that is down. Doing the right move here, just hook up onto the back of that pro driver and just try and follow him around. I mean, Tom Savage, look at that, 1.7 seconds. He is just eaten into the advantage of Shamrapon Asavon now. I think Tom Savage is going to be able to get the number 1 position again here. It's just coming down. Be a bit unfortunate for Asavon, but even getting the top 3 position, you can see him there just coming around. Let's go on board with Tom Savage here, and that in front is the first place in the Anfield. He is on a charge here, and has really eaten a lot of time out. He's taking risks because he really wants that first place again here in this endurance round.
Yeah, talking about taking, putting pace on. He's taken so much curb there. The Mercedes has almost got airborne, so running right to the edge of those curbs, really putting the hammer down. You can see that BMW in the distance, and he's definitely got the bit between his teeth. he can potentially do this. He's running right now 1.6 seconds and managed to get a massive margin down from the pro need to get past Asavon. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens now. Can he maintain that gap in front and keep Logston off his back, or is he going to be in big trouble? Keep Savage off his back, or is he going to be in big trouble?
It depends if he's looking at his timing tower. If he's looking at his timing tower and he can see that Tom Savage is closing in on him, it almost forces you into mistakes. You can see going into the corner how late Tom Savage is braking compared to what Shamapon is in front, and you can see that gap just coming down. At this point, last lap, it was 3.3 seconds, so literally taking more than half that time out of there. So at the moment, I think the writing is on the wall here for Shamapon Asavon for that first place in the He just needs to compose himself, just keep his lines. I think just looking at the last lap, I mean 159.82 Shamapon and 157.8, so 2 seconds the difference between Tom Savage and Shamapon for that last lap. And I mean, I just don't think there's a lot he can do, the Dane Racing driver there in front. I mean, 57.89, that is the Pro-Ams are not even doing them times at the moment. They're doing 58.71s. So at the moment, Tom Savage is really putting the hammer down to get the opportunity to make that passing move here on Shamapon Asavon for the lead. After leading away pretty much out from the beginning of this race by a country mile over the Anfield, had a slight mistake, and we don't know what that was, but having to do a second pit stop really hurt him. Put him down into P7th in that has forced his way back to the possibility of first place here as we're closing in on Tom Savage onto the back. You can see the gap now 1.1 seconds, so another 0.3 of a second eaten out of Shamapon's lead here in the closing stage. 10 minutes left of this race to go, and yeah, I think the writing is on the wall. Let's have a look at the lap times as they come across the line. Shamapon there really responding, coming down to a 157.9, so only 0.4 of a second slower than Tom Savage. So has seen the fact that Tom Savage is and rising to the challenge at the moment, getting into the 157s. That was his best lap overall in the race as well.
Yeah, fantastic drive here so far by Asavon, responding to the sheer fact that Savage is so close. But you can see Tom Savage there is absolutely putting the hammer down, pushing that Mercedes all the way to the edges, taking every bit of the white line, every bit of the curb, and just doing what he can to close up on that BMW. But the exit speed of the BMW there, as you see, starting to just creep away slightly on the straights. But that Mercedes, sorry, has got the big grunt, and it's looking awfully racy at the moment. As he's looking down to the inside, oh, it's a bit of a brave move, but potentially trying to put a bit of pressure on the driver in front to make him sort of panic and run him off his line there. But it's getting awfully close at the moment. Just another situation update here. Lee King McGee has jumped Sander Island, so he's now sitting in 4th place. So just a little heads up to the AKM racing drivers that are watching the stream at the moment. So, but yeah, riding on board with Tom Savage, as we said, he's looking awfully racy, and he's all over the back of that BMW.
Yeah, he's closed down now to be in the slipstream effect. So Tom Savage is now closing in 0.4 of a second. You see that time and time come down. Just watch how late he brakes and closes the gaps down coming into the braking areas of the corner. Now right on the back, so it's looking like a turn 1 dive down the inside for Tom Savage to take over the lead once more in this field as he takes it wide there, gets a really good exit. Let's look on top side as we see here with Tom Savage looking down the inside here. Is he going to make a lunge down into turn 1? He's gone. Nope, I think he is literally just going to bide it his time now. He has 8 minutes left, so around about 4 laps remaining in this race. And we haven't really talked about the fuel status. The only drivers to come in for 2 pit stops are Casper Tungsten and Tom Torbe Melee, and obviously Tom Savage that we're looking. In fact, no, yeah, looking at the moment is Tom. So there's only 3 drivers that have done 2 pit stops, and Tom was relatively early on in the race. lap number 32, I believe. Yeah, 32. He basically pitted in. We're currently on lap 56, going into 57. So it was a long time ago that Tom did do his second pit stop, but it's all over. Looks down the inside here, going into the hairpin, and just nothing that Asavon could do, but he does come back on the outside.
Back.
Oh, it's on! Oh no! Both of the drivers get taken out here. Top two runners in the AM are taken out. That was... Oh, and you can see there, that is Stefan Andersson rubbing his hand. The two drivers come through, and that could have been a mistake. We'll have a look back at what happened there, but it looked like Champon had the speed on the exit, and it was a coming together there. But, wow, after the... big comeback here from Tom Savage, he finds himself now back down into 5th place, and our long-time leader is in 3rd place. So wow, controversy at the end of this race. Let's have a look back and see if I can find the... There we go. Let's have a look at the replay of what happened here. So coming down into the hairpin, good years, and Tom Savage, great move on the inside. Did he shoot out a little bit too wide? Asvan comes up on the inside, puts a bit of brake, and wow, I think that's a bit of net code there. That looks huge. I think that Tom Savage was going to hit into him, but I think that was certainly emphasised by the net code incident there on track. But wow, I mean... controversy into the last like 5 minutes of this race. Let's have a look back at that again and have a look in slow-mo as well, because I think that there is a bit of things. So come around the corner, he comes out of the corner. Let's just slow it down here. Coming around onto the exit, does have the inside line here, gets back up, puts the brakes on to thingy, and then Tom hits the outside, comes in, and there you see that little bit of netcode that really overemphasized. I think they would have door banged, but I think that netcode really impacted the effect of that spin.
Yeah, I think it was going to be a contact either way, like you said, but Tom was just pushing extremely hard. He had the inside line, and obviously that affected his turn in for the exit. You could see him understeering there, and he just unfortunately caught the rear end on that high-sided curb and just span straight into Asamon there. But unfortunately, that's how racing goes sometimes, and I can imagine we'll be seeing a penalty coming in, but nothing worse than being out in front, running as hard as you possibly can, and then unfortunately getting punted from the side there coming into the final session.
Definitely is, but now gives a bit of emphasis to this battle between Stefan Andersson and Otto Rudd for the #1 spot in the AM field here. As you can see, Stefan was super defensive with Otto Rudd here, only 0.2 of a second down, so this is going to be a tight battle all the way, and Otto looks really racy at the moment, so just needs to find that opportunity to find that. Looking down the inside here in the last turn, doesn't quite have the room, but certainly putting his nose up into certain places of Stefan Andersson to let him know he's there. So here we go. Let's have a look as we watch on board with Alte Rudd coming down again. So this is for the lead in the AM. We were literally just watching Tom Stevens trying to get past Shamapon Asavon and coming into contact, coming down into turn 8 Goodyear curve that put paid to their two races at the moment, but promoted these two for fighting over as we watch Alte going extremely wide into turn 2. Can he slow the car down here to turn number 3, manages to get it stopped. That could have been a risky move there for Alte, but he is literally putting it all on the line here to get this first race win in this amateur field. Does have Stefan Andersson in front, and this is be a first win for Stefan as well, so we will have a new winner, it looks like, in this Anfield. But these two are being super racy out on track, so hopefully these two don't come to blows.
Yeah, Alte Rudd's got to be very careful here. You know, once you're this close to the driver in front with this short amount of time to go, you don't want to be pushing the car so hard that you start to overdrive it, overheat those tyres, and that just allows the car in front to slightly pull away. But Alte Rudd doing a fantastic job here. He's sticking right on the back of Stefan Andersson, keeping it awfully close and tight. Is he going to look for a move now coming into this this tight left-hander? He's pushing as hard as he can. He thinks about it, and still a little bit too far. What he needs to do is he needs to sort of bide his time, close in as much as he can, and use the potential of that long slipstream down the straight. And he's got a fantastic run out of the corner there. As we're pushing now, he's riding really, really close. He's got that gap down to 0.2 of a second. Is he going to be able to squeeze it in now for a dive here into the S's? No, he still doesn't quite have it. That exit speed from Anderson in front, absolutely phenomenal. Ultimately, just needs to bide his time, get nice and tight, and then use that slipstream effect down the long straight here.
Yeah, it definitely is. I think he's just trying to go in a little bit too deep and just letting Anderson off the hook here. He's going in deep, like you can see there. They were relatively close, by 0.2 of a second. It's now out to 0.5. It'll close into the slipstream again, but it's them slight little mistakes coming into the corner. Exactly that. What you need to do in this position is literally set up the passing move. So trying to make Stefan basically try and make the mistake of defending onto a corner and trying to get him on the exit. That's what Olte just needs to be doing now. He should have a good exit out of this corner. Coming down into turn number 6, but not really an opportunity for a passing move, but needs to keep himself nice and close for that back straight, for the opportunity of the inside move into the hairpin, into the chicane, but right onto the back of the bumper of Stefan Anderson. This could be a dive into Goodyear. Has he got the nope, he just backs off again, comes down there, let's go. So nearly contact made as he looks up on the inside, and he has got him out there as Stefan Anderson just gets it slightly wrong. Was there slight contact going into the corner which made Stefan get a little bit offline coming onto the exit, but that is for after the race. Olte Rudd currently making a passing move there on Stefan Anderson and getting out to a 0.6 of a second. So Olte will be rubbing his hands saying thank you. We saw the promise from this driver out in Imola getting onto the top spot in the qualifying session, and it's starting to come a bit more for him. A bit fortunate with the incident that we saw with Shamapon and Savage on track, but it's not over yet as Stefan Anderson comes in, but that looks there, and we've just been watching this so much, we've missed the winner of the race. Neil-Erik Isaacson wins the race, Thomas Wangen in second place, but these two drivers just having a look on track. Is this it? Yes, Olte Rudd gets the win there in the AM. Let's have a look up with Lance Sorensen comes across in third place there. It's probably good to see someone else than Neil-Erik Isaacson or Thomas Wangen passing the opponents, but that was an epic battle in that rookie class. Looking back at the Pro-Ams, we got Matt Gendron back in here in first place, James Loxton in second, Lee King McGee. Is this going to be a little bit of a switcheroo between the two teammates? Possibly not. There is 6.9 seconds the gap between the two of them at the moment, but that's still not all ends lost between James Logston and Lee King McGee with being able to get past Sander Island as going to have like a 13-point lead going into the final 3 races of the season, so it's certainly going to be interesting there, but still a sizable lead as we do see the switcheroo. We do see the switcheroo between the two teammates, and it's only 1 point, so the gap will be 13 points, which limits it. Great sportsmanship and teamwork there between Michael Goff and Lee King McGee to give Lee McGee the last step on the podium, so that's teamwork.
Yeah, definitely teamwork for sure. I was going to say, if that doesn't happen, I'd be very surprised that the team orders haven't come through to allow Lee King McGee to get that third place and have that podium. So, fantastic sportsmanship there from his teammate Michael Goff, actually allowing him to take that podium position and give him that leap ever further forward in that championship battle. So as we're running on board here with Kim, seeing him pass over the line for Sim Racing Norway, down towards the very, very back half of the Pro-Am field, but it obviously wasn't his day out today, and with Simeon being off as well from an early bout of incidents, we found that the Sim Racing Norway drivers push through to collect the points that he thoroughly deserves. But I can't believe that phenomenal finish between the AM drivers there. Fair play to Ali Rudd for getting that win, and fantastic driving all around from all these drivers.
It definitely is. Watch Neil Eric's coming into the pits. A great day at the office for him. That's 2 for 2, and makes him the outright leader in that pro field by 4 points now over his teammate Thomas Wangen. So Thomas Wangen relinquishes the stronghold he had at the top of the pro field, and now we have a new leader at the top of the pro field, his teammate Neil Eric Isaacson. So it's been an interesting race, but let's have a look to see if we can bring up the results. Oh, we can see the rookie field. Let's put that to overall. Let's try that. And here we go. The results here for the second endurance race of the season here at the Nurburgring GP track. In first place, Neil Eric Isaacson, 10.8 seconds ahead of his teammate Thomas Wangen. In third place was Lance Sorensen, so that is a 1-2-3 for the IGL Coatings Iracing by Trande Straffic Sol team. In fourth place, Ketil Larsson's another IGL team race member. In fifth place was Arius Yamantas, 44 seconds behind. Top of the Pro Am field, Mats Genström back in after a terrible start, manages to make his way back through the field and takes the race win here. James Dogson in second place, and we just saw their teammate swapping around. Leaky McGee manages to get that third place overall over his teammate Michael Goff. In 10th place we got Sander Island with 11th John O'Cook. 12th was Kim Andre Borkland with Ryan O'Connor, our new driver, in P13th. Top of the AM battle that we were watching for quite a bit of that closing stage of the race is Alte Rudd after making a passing move on Stefan Andersson, coming down into the Goodyear curve of turn number 8 to get that AM race win, so he'll be over the moon. But Dane Racing, a good day at the office for them. Stefan Andersson coming home in second place. In 16th we got Russ Fowler, 17th Casper Thompson, and taking off the last spot on the the AM field is Sammy Hendricks. So a great day at the office for him. Looking further down the order then, in P19 we got Champon Asfon. Really feel unlucky for the Dane Racing driver there after the incident he had with Tom Savage in Team Bear Pop, who managed to finish, I think it was 5th overall in class. Jimmy Vark in 21st, Mad Say 22nd, Gordon Haig in 21st. Top of your rookie is Alan Sandgaard with Sam Curran in second place. Nicholas Gronstrom gets the third place, Christopher Otto in 27th, and Paul Joseph Clist in 28th. And that rounds out your field with a few retirees. We had Tobin Mele, Daniel Carpenter, another new driver to the series, and Simeon Moldeklev. So great race we had today, and it's good to see, you know, that the invincible Thomas Wangen is human after all.
Yeah, it was crazy to see Niels pulling out the win today, but he just seemed to have the pace and the consistency that was needed in order to get that podium position. So, but fantastic battling all the way along down the field, and a bit of controversy as we headed into the latter stages there. So it's going to be really interesting to see on the podcast on Wednesday on the pit stop to see what penalties are going to come in for this endurance round, and is that going to mix things up even further for the championship positions.
Definitely is. But without further ado, let's get a few of the drivers. And Tom, I'll hand over to you for our overall race winner in the pole, Neil Eric Isaacson.
Niels, welcome to the booth.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic drive from you today. You were driving right behind your teammate Thomas Wangen for the longest time, but you seemed to just have that pace that he couldn't match today, and he did also have a bit of an incident as well. So how was that race for you, and did you find that you just had the pace over your teammate today?
Yeah, well, we decided to change because I managed to save a lot of fuel, so we decided to change place so he could save something. But when I'm in front, then yeah, I have to go. So yeah, and then he was a bit unlucky with a spin or something.
Yeah, he had a spin into the last hairpin there before the long straight and the just by the pit exit there, pit entry, sorry. But you seemed awfully racy today. I mean, you're gelling incredibly well with that BMW. Did you find it was sort of very well suited for this track, or was there anything that you potentially change about the car today?
No, I think it was the car and track combo is very good. I think probably I think that was a very good combo. So for us, it was a good race, and I had pace from the first lap in training, so that was feeling good.
Yeah, it's always nice to know that you can show up to this track and put in good lap times just from the get go. So we're heading now, obviously, towards the Pacific section of the GT3 Cup. So we're going to be having obviously Twin Ring Motegi, Suzuka, and then finishing finally off in Australia at Bathurst. Are you going to find any of those tracks awfully difficult, or are you well versed in the Japanese tracks?
Suzuka and Bathurst is okay, but what was the next one? Twin Ring Motegi?
Twin Ring Motegi, yeah.
Yeah, never driven that, so that will be a challenge.
Yeah, you'll find that track very interesting. It's very, very flat and lots of sort of sweeping corners where you need good accuracy. But looking at your drive today, mate, you've done a fantastic job, and I can't say it'll phase you too much.
We'll have to see. Thank you.
But yeah, is there before we let you go, is there anyone you would like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, of course, my teammates and the training that we do, and not always together, but we have the data on the VRS to look at each other's laps, and also to our sponsors, IGL Coatings and Sande Trafikkskole. We are fortunate enough to get some money for training and stuff like that, so we are very lucky to have them on board.
Well, the luck was certainly all yours today, mate, and fantastic race and a fantastic win for first place in the pros.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was Neil-Erik Eisen winning here, second race in a row that Neil's has won. Let's get in the Pro-Am winner, Mats Gensrom back. And Mats, welcome to the booth, mate. You certainly made that hard for yourself, didn't you?
Yeah, that rookie mistake was the worst possible start, but it was just down to keeping my head down and full throttle.
It definitely was. Just talk us through, obviously, did you get a slowdown on that opening lap, which obviously caused a little bit of an issue behind you, but then from that you just went on, and just talk us about the lap before you went in for the pit stop, because that was a 1:57.1. Did you really feel that you needed to put down the hammer to try and close the gap, and did you expect to get out in front of the rest of the Pro-Am field?
Yeah, I knew that I'd saved a lot of fuel behind the others because I wasn't able to push to the maximum because of the traffic. And I thought I had to push on the last lap to get ahead of Michael. Thankfully, I had more space than I thought. So after my pit stop, it was all about just taking care of the tires and just wishing my screen wouldn't turn off again.
I know we were saying that on screen. It's probably poetic justice that obviously having an excellent race out in Hockenheim, that you find yourself in the same position here today on the endurance round. So the more points on offer. I bet you were, like you were saying, I bet you were hoping that your monitor still stays on so you could bring this one home.
Yeah, I did. Hopefully I will get the new cable for the next race, so everything should be fine.
Yeah, definitely. Don't want to be having dodgy cables. But obviously we've got Twin Ring Motegi coming up, then followed by Suzuka, then finishing off in Bathurst. We're just speaking to your teammate there, Neil-Erik Eisen, who said he's very much not done Twin Ring Motegi. Have you been around there?
Well, I'm the same boat. I've never driven that track either, so it will be interesting to learn a new track. And the team has worked so well this last week, so to get up to pace. So if we can do the same for Twin Ring, I think we can get a good result as well.
It definitely is. I mean, we just seen there that I'm just looking down the timing tab, the RGL coatings. You put in a phenomenal amount of training and practice through the weeks, and it really pays off when it comes to race day. What is that the secret to your success? Is just plenty of practice and all feeding off each other?
Yeah, I'm the type of driver who need a lot of practice. I don't have the same talent as Nils Erik and Thomas have. So for me, it's just down to do a lot of practice and looking at their telemetry and try to learn from them. So it's a huge advantage to have all these guys on my team, which is so quick.
Yeah, it definitely is, and it certainly is paying off in all of the races. But congratulations on a well-deserved win in the Pro Am field, your first win of the season after moving down from the Pro field. Before we let you go, mate, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, obviously you guys for making the great broadcast. I'm going to watch it afterwards. And also our sponsors, obviously, IGL Coatings, Sandö Trafikkskole and Elverdi.
Definitely is. But congratulations on your race win, and we look forward to seeing you out in Twin Ring Roteggy, mate.
Thanks a lot.
Brilliant. And so that was Mats, and we now have for you, Tom, we've got Olte Rudd after his very first win in a Performance League race in the Anfield. Over to you, mate.
Ali, welcome to the booth. What a race today, mate.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we watched that last lap battle there very, very closely, and we saw the door sort of open up for you, and you just managed to sneak inside and get the front position. So how do you feel after your very first win in the Performance Link GT3 Cup?
Yeah, it feels great. I think that last incident was very lucky for me, but yeah, I worked a lot to try to make get him to make a mistake, and yeah, had a bit unlucky lap 2 as well. Got spun around in T1, so I had a loss to the first challenge today, and it feels great. Yeah.
Well, you definitely rose to the challenge. We saw that the BMW was really working for you today. Did you find that you were suffering from any sort of tire wear, or were you worrying about the fuel amount you had left?
The first stint, I was a bit worried about the fuel, but the BMW is very good with the tires, so no trouble at all, I would say.
It's good to know. We'll remember that for future broadcasts, and we won't be saying that the BMW will be struggling on tires. But today we noticed that you were putting in so many consistent laps, one after the other. You know, you really deserve this win today. Did you put in a massive amount of practice for this race, or was this one that you put in a small amount and just wanted to see what would happen?
Actually, for this race, I didn't practice that much, but I had a race on the same track 2-3 weeks ago, so I was well prepared.
It's awesome. Preparation's the one thing that everybody wants to have coming into this kind of event. So, the Anfield was incredibly sort of mixed up towards the second half of that race. There, did you notice on your relative that there was accidents up ahead, and that the sort of the opportunity to get the win was opening up for you?
Oh, I thought on lap 2, I thought now I will battle for the last, and so I was a bit surprised when passing up the ranks. So yeah, very surprised for me. Yeah.
Well, you certainly did a fantastic job today, mate. You know, and you thoroughly deserved your first win in the GT3 Cup. I mean, it's amazing to see the different amount of drivers that come through and they're getting wins at this later stage. But we've been watching you obviously every round so far throughout the season, and you've been putting in a fantastic show, and you thoroughly deserve the win today. So, congratulations on that. Is there anybody you would like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah. Thanks. I would like to thank my family, my kids, and my girlfriend, who lets me drive on my simulator all the time. They have to put up with a lot, so yeah, thanks to them.
It's awesome. That's the perfect shout out. Got to get the family in, and then that guarantees you can get a bit more racing in. So, but a massive, massive congratulations to you, and a first place for yourself and Team Vikings.
Thank you very much.
Thanks again.
So there was our winner there, Alte Rudd, after probably a fortunate win. But before we get in Alan into there, our rookie winner, let's have a quick chat to Tom Savage. Tom, welcome to the booth, mate. First question I want to ask is, what happened for you to take 2 pit stops?
Yeah. My wheel decided that none of the buttons were going to work, so I was stuck in 5th gear. Yeah, so luckily I was in the chicane, so I managed to get into the pits, but because none of the buttons were working, I didn't take tyres. So I took full fuel, no tyres, went round again for a bit, realised, went back in, and yeah, you saw the rest.
Yeah, it certainly was. We were watching intently with how quick you were actually gaining up on the rest of the field. Just take us through your mindset there of how far you were behind, considering you were like a mountain ahead of the rest of the AM field, and then see yourself catching up. And then, did you want to talk about the incident that happened?
Yeah. Well, it was possibly the worst day's racing ever, from unbiased opinion. I had a great first half until technical issues. Then, so I knew before I had the issues I was 25 seconds ahead or something. So came back out after the second pit stop, and the rest of the pack was, I think, 8 seconds ahead. So I knew all things, the same. I had the pace to catch them. And then, well, apologies to Charmpong. That's, nothing else I can say there.
Yeah, I mean, you certainly had the pace. We did see that incident, and you can watch it back there. But it just seemed that you just dipped that wheel because you were pushing super hard. We were on board with you a couple of laps using the whole of the track. I mean, obviously that's where your times were coming from compared to the rest of the field. But obviously we saw you go down the inside of turn number 8 to try and make the passing move tell. We're just watching you on team, almost like a carbon copy with Madsea there around the same corner. It did, to be, in all intents and purposes, it did look like there was a big net code effect on the incident between yourself and Shamapon, but put pace for your race. But you've got phenomenal speed at the moment in this car, and just take us through how you can find that speed and how much practice you're putting in to get yourself into the realms of the Pro-Am fields.
Well, I mean, I started on Monday and I was high 58, 59, 5, on the same track temps we had today. And that was pretty disheartening. So did a few sessions, talked to the master sensei of Team Bear Pope, Mr. Hooper. He gave me some tips. That helped quite a lot. And then after that, it was just practice.
It definitely is, and that certainly shows out on track. If you put lots of practice in, the times will come down. You can be super competitive. And again, in the championship, you're running away with that AM field. It's probably not good for you, but good for the championship is that it would have pegged back a few little points from today, but you will still have a sizable lead in that AM field. Not the result you wanted here tonight, but overall it just shows the pace you've got. And what I'm really looking forward to is if you come back for season 3, seeing you in that Pro-Am field to see what you can do in that field, because you're very much mixing it up with the Pro-Am field at the moment anyway, aren't you?
Yeah. I think obviously there was various class balancing at the start of the season. I think I was originally expected to be in Pro-Am, and then there was some balancing going on, and I got moved down to the AM, which is what it is. I don't think I'm massively ahead of everybody on pace. Simon and the guys in quali. It took me an hour to find the extra tenths to get the pole position. I was in 4th or 5th, I think, on pace before that. So it's competitive everywhere. And I don't really know what happened in the race today. I think I just had a bit of a zen moment. I've not been in those temperatures. I've not done a 57 in any of my practice, and I was basically slamming in the whole race today.
Hooked it up at the right moment. It's consistency, isn't it? And certainly down in the AM field, we were saying it on stream, is that consistency is the key, isn't it? You know, you are going to make mistakes because you are classed as AM drivers, so you're in the sort of lower end of the I rating. It's all about the consistency, and I think that's the big thing that you've got going for yourself in the championship, is that you can consistently do them lap times where maybe the rest of the field around you is making them slight mistakes. So it's one of the big things about being in that, isn't it? Consistency.
Yep, that's the thing. You know, you can't win the race if you're not in the race.
Exactly. But obviously, you gave us an entertaining show on the stream watching your comeback, and it was rather impressive to watch. It ended rather prematurely with you not winning the race, but thank you very much for another entertaining race. We've got Twin Motegi up next week. How are you looking forward to that one?
To be honest, like most of the races in the second half of the season, I've done maybe one race at any of these tracks, so I don't really know. It's an unknown.
It seems to be the flavour at the moment. A lot of people. That's why we sort of put this these Twin Rig Motegi that a lot of people don't race around in there to challenge you a bit more. But I'm sure you rise to the challenge, put the practice in, and we'll see you out probably in your usual position out the front again. But commiserations, should we say, for this round, but overall in the grand scheme of things, still well out in front in the AM Championship. Before we let go, mate, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Well, I think, Charmpon's the only person I can give the shout out to this week. I can only apologise. I haven't watched it back. I definitely touched the dirt on the outside. Whatever happened, netcode, I don't know, but it shouldn't have happened. I should have held it back more. So he won the race in my heart.
Yeah, well, that's the camaraderie between the races, and I'm sure he appreciates after he's calmed down, you giving him a shout out, mate. But good luck for the next round out, and we look forward to it. We'll see, mate. But I'm sure it'll be water under the bridge, but definitely is. As
thanks, guys.
As AKM Racing is saying, 5 race ban, I think he's saying. So I don't think.
Yeah.
All right, mate. Catch you later.
Bye-bye.
So there was Tom Savage. So another hardware issue is what it was, where it came down to for him. But without further ado, Tom, I'll hand you over to our last interviewee for the night, and another great win from Alan Sandergaard. Over to you, Tom.
Alan, welcome to the booth. A bit of a mixed day today for the Dane Racing team. We've seen joy and commiserations in this race, but you found yourself today on the top of the podium spot. And how was that race for you?
Oh, it was hard. I actually didn't think I was going to win in front of Sam. He was driving fast, and having a hard time catching him. Definitely, but I think I had a better pit than his. And I went out in front when I came from the pit and stayed in front. But
yeah, you seemed to do a fantastic job in that respect. And Sam is a particularly fast driver. Did you think that things would work out the way that they did? I mean, the rookie field obviously at the moment is a bit mixed up. There was a couple of drivers that had issues early on, and you just managed to find yourself in the prime position towards the second half of the race. Was the car working well for you today, or did you find sort of tire issues, or were you worrying about the fuel?
No, the car was actually driving good. I had some incidents in I think it was the 7th lap. I bumped into Sam Garan actually and spun out. But drive so I could get him, and at the same time trying to save my tires and fuel. But
sorry.
Yeah, but in the end of the stint, I got a warning for tires almost worn. So
Yeah, you definitely don't want to. You don't want to do what I did at Interlagos and blow your tires up. That's never advisable. So, but the BMW today, we noticed that a lot of drivers are now in the BMW, and there's not really too many people that aren't sort of near the front spot in a car that isn't the BMW. Is it one that you've driven a lot, or is it a car that is sort of fairly new to you this season, or is it your go-to car for GT3s?
It's my go-to car for GT3s. I love the BMW. It's it's quite stable and still fast. So it's a good mix.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want, isn't it? At the end of the day. So, but as far as the championship points go, you're currently sitting in 4th place, but your win over Sam and obviously your win over Nicholas is going to bump you up the championship standings a little bit more. Are you looking now to put in some more practice coming up for Twin Ring Motegi, which is our next circuit?
Definitely. I haven't driven Twin Rings before, so I need a lot of practice on that one.
You'll like it. It's a fun one.
We will see. We will see.
But yeah, we've obviously got Twin Ring Motegi. We've then got Suzuka, and finally we're finishing off with a endurance round at Bathurst. Doesn't sound like you're too thrilled about those ones.
The Bathurst one is the one that's I'm struggling a little bit with.
Well, maybe a bit of practice is in order, but absolutely fantastic race today, mate. Thoroughly enjoyed watching you on track, and you absolutely deserve the win today for Dane Racing, and commiserations to your teammate for getting sort of taken out a little bit there towards the last part of his race. But you brought it home today for the team, and before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, well, thank you guys for putting this great series on. It's definitely fun, and next time you're doing it, we will definitely be joining again. And then my teammates for the great sparring when we're driving. So if there's anything we're struggling with, we can help each other.
That's awesome. Well, sorry, Andy, go on.
Yeah, no, I just updated the points. I just want to let you know that you're currently in 4th place, 1 point behind the equal 2nd place of Nicholas Gronstrom and Paul Joseph Kliss. So your win today has leapfrogged you up into 4th place in the championship, only 1 point behind 2nd place.
Okay, the race today or what?
Yeah, so I've just updated the points. So you're currently on 110 points. Sam Curran is on 119, and Nicholas Gronstrom and Paul Joseph Kliss are equal on 111. So super close in that Anfield. So that win today has catapulted you up the leaderboard, and you've now in it with a chance of a top 3 finish.
Yeah, okay.
There you go, eh?
That's actually closer than I thought.
Yep, there you go. So
all
to play for.
Yeah, I think you're going to start practicing Motegi now.
Yeah, yeah, probably.
But yeah, it's great to have you in the booth, Alan, and big congratulations again on your win today in the rookie class.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Just.
So there was Alan Sandergaard winning out in the rookie field, and yeah, I've just updated the points there. I mean, that was a super, and like I said, a dark horse. He is now 1 point behind 2nd place and only 9 points behind 1st place, so that rookie field has super closed up. Just having a look at the Pro-Am field, Lee King McGee still leads away on 119. James Logston's now closed the gap on 106. Still double figures between them two. So, 3 rounds to go. It's super close. The race for 3rd place in the Pro-Am is another one. Sander Island there on 89 and Michael Goff on 87. So if they hadn't changed places, Michael probably would have been in 3rd place in the championship. But a big team effort there. I think Lee has obviously said in the chat that Michael gave him the position to maintain his lead at the front. So it's certainly going over there. And then in the pro field, we are looking at Neil Eisen on 129 with Thomas Wangen on 125. So the leader switched over to Neil Eric Eisen in that things. So, I mean, for the last 3 rounds, you couldn't ask for more. You got the Pro-Am super close between James Logsdon and Lee King McGee. You got Sander Island, Michael Goff, and Kim Andre Portland, even with Christopher Otterholt, all within a good shout of taking that 3rd place. So 3 rounds to go is going to be interesting on that. The AM battle at the moment, Tom Savage on 123, so still a sizable lead. Stefan Anderson, after that race win, has catapulted himself to 2nd place on 105. Champapon Asavon, after that, a bit unfortunate from Dame Racing again, finds himself in 3rd place, 8 points ahead of Sammy Hendricks. So super close again in the Anfield, and we've just gone through the rookie one there. 1 point separates 2nd, 3rd, and 9 points separate the top 4. So certainly all to play for overall in that championship as well. So it's going to be entertaining coming into the last rounds of the season.
Yeah, one thing I'm going to find incredibly exciting is the sheer fact that so many people don't know Twin Ring Motegi. That's going to be really interesting. It's not going to be one of those tracks that people are going to just leap to immediately and be fast. So it's a particularly tricky circuit. You've really got to know your lines there. It's quite flat. There's not a lot of camber to the corners. Some tricky, very, very tricky braking zones as you come down the hill before you go under the bridge there. So it's one of those places that really invites you to try and battle and take the inside. But 2x2, it just really is just unbelievably difficult to make the move stick through there. So yeah, it's going to be good to see. And obviously then we go on to Suzuka, which is going to be another fantastic round. Everybody knows Suzuka for the most part, and we'll see a lot of people shine there. But also prone to incidents, Suzuka is. So it's some really, really interesting rounds coming up, and I can't wait for it to come next week.
It definitely is. That's next week, same time for the Twin Ring Motegi. Only an hour and 10-minute race. That one's the last 2 races of the season. Twin Ring Motegi and obviously Suzuka are the 110-minute races before we end at the finale at Bathurst, which is another 2-hour endurance race. I mean, it's just so close to call in a lot of the championship. I'm loving the fact the pros have sort of tightened up. It is a 2-horse race between Neil Erik Isaacson and Thomas Wangen for the win in the Pro Series. You got Lee King McGee, James Logsdon having an epic battle here into the last 3 rounds, and even with the 3rd place with Michael Goff and Sander Island as well to close that gap up. And then you got the AM. It's a little bit of a runaway still with Tom Savage, even after his disappointment today not winning the race, but it's certainly heating up for the Dane Racing guys in 2nd and 3rd, so anybody there. And then we just gone through the rookies. The top 4 places are split by 9 points, so all of the championships are still up for grabs for anybody to take hold. And like you said, it's going to be the ones now who put in the practice for the last 3 rounds and coming down to that last one, because I'm really looking forward to Bathurst. One I absolutely hate driving, but one I absolutely love commentating on, because it's just such an amazing track, and I think it'll be a fitting finale if we have all 4 of the championships up for grab on the last race of the season. But that brings us to the end here tonight of this monster session here, 2 hours. Victory goes to Neil Erik Isaacson, Mats Genström-Backen, Alte Rudd and Alan Sandergaard in all the classes. So congratulations to them, guys. We see some epic battling out on track, and I'm pretty sure we're going to see exactly the same next week out at Twin Ring Motegi. But from tonight, from us here at Performance League, from myself, Andy Thompson, from Tom Bingham alongside me in the commentary booth, we're going to bid you farewell and look forward to seeing you same time next week. Goodbye.
Good night.